and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GMCG, boys. How are we doing? Markets are hot. Chill. The GOAT. Major call on stream yesterday. Insane stuff going on in the markets, guys. And my prediction, which I think we made as soon as the Robinhood chain came out a couple of weeks ago, is that ETH might be bottomed here. Uniswap's doing incredibly well. Of course, direct beneficiary from all the volume coming through Robinhood. We're seeing that represented in the chart right now, up 8% on the day. Ethereum may have bottomed. It's outperforming the rest of the majors. I'm starting to see life again in Ethereum. Starting to see some OG Ethereum guys come back online. This is exciting stuff. Starting to see some more innovation happening on Ethereum. Also ties back to Uniswap with these V4 hooks. We saw Programmable yesterday catch a really nice bid up to 7-8 million. Of course, on the back of Chill's call at $1 million live on stream. And even lower in our Discord. GMCG, how we doing, guys? How are we feeling this morning? We got 10 minutes till Collector Crib comes back on. Friends of the show, we're talking through it. Logan Paul just dropped his own gotcha machine, which I think is extremely bullish Collector Crib because the fees are terrible. Like, it's just a much, much worse version or gotcha of what we have available. So I think this is a rising tide situation. But with that being said, guys, let's do some housekeeping. Get you guys retweeting the show. Get it going because we have a really exciting one today. And I'm excited to talk about Ethereum for the first time in a while. I am really excited for this. So with that said, let me get the MCG account pulled up. And we got some stuff to talk about as well. Lots of stuff going on. You'll see the quote tweet coming out momentarily here. Some really cool stuff going on in the market.
I'm
okay.
on it.
With that being said, Josh is on it, man, my guy. With that being said, MCG's cooking, guys. We're doing a lot Monday through Friday. We're always live. As if it hasn't become clear enough, guys, we are here to provide signal. No noise, just signal. We've seen all the narratives. We've talked to all the people. We know what's going on. I'm not going to toot our own horn all day, but we were the first to every single major narrative in the last year or two. With that being said, we are live. Here's what we got to do. Okay, actually, you know what?
You're sounding like chill now. You're like chill now. He's very good at doing the housekeeping, you know.
I'll do the housekeeping once we have our quote tweet up here for you guys.
I know, I'm going as fast as I can. I got you.
No worries. But let's talk about this because this is actually pretty crazy. And you know what? I'll give credit to Thread Guy where credit is due. He's leaned into the equity side of things, and he actually seems to have like pretty decent signal in terms of equities. What's going on? Finger on the pulse. Not so much myself anymore these days. So it's actually nice to see, Thread Guy kind of filling those shoes. With that being said, look at this prediction he made. I mean, I got to give the kid some credit. Citadel buys situational awareness's stock portfolio, according to Wall Street Journal, which is absolutely insane. Because of this, okay. So let's go down the quote tweet ladder here. Wall Street Engine made this tweet. Situational awareness has exited its entire public equities book, including both long and short positions, through a transaction with a single buyer, according to CNBC. Okay, so everyone knows, Leopold, basically the KOL of equities right now, this guy's making all the best trades, was forced to liquidate their entire public equities book, the entire thing. And it was all sold in a single transaction to one buyer. Okay. Conspiracy theorists' brains get to turning. That's when conspiracy theorist tinfoil thread comes on. Tinfoil guy comes on. He says, wait. 2 days ago, Ken Griffin and Citadel randomly came out and declared that the Fed will raise rates, which caused semis and AIs to get absolutely destroyed and to extreme pressure on Leopold and situational awareness, causing them to liquidate their entire public equities book through a transaction with single buyer. I mean, ... Who else could it be?
Wow.
So calling out Ken Griffin and Citadel there. As of today, we got according to Wall Street Journal, Citadel buys situational awareness stock portfolio per Wall Street Bet. That's pretty nuts. Just strings being pulled, games being played here. But
yeah, it's the sin of leverage. It's the sin of leverage.
Man, we've seen this playbook. And just this is crazy. I mean, I wonder if it was intentional. Yeah, you almost have to assume it was. But the fact that Citadel or Ken Griffin can cause such a market-wide dip to really force a liquidation on situational awareness, and of course being the person that steps in and bails them out and buys everything, it's just like you couldn't write a better story.
Yeah, I mean, all the stocks, like whether they're chips or data centers, like Galaxy's gotten crushed. I think Oracle's down like 50% in like 2 weeks, which for a company like Oracle is a major, that's a major coup. So
I mean, SK Hynix was down like 60%. 60%.
Yeah.
This is $1 trillion company. It's insane.
I think there's a lot of leverage in those names. There's a lot of leverage. So deleveraging. However, if you're looking at it now and you don't have exposure, this might be the entry you guys, anyone was looking for, because it's just, the theme isn't going away. I don't think the thesis has changed. I think it's just a deleveraging.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about Galaxy even the other day, and you mentioned like the chip play. It's up 15% on the day. And this is, I pull up Galaxy, but this is across the board with chips and semis right now. They're all up 15%. This is like Microsoft's up 16% on the day as well. Galaxy up 16%, as mentioned earlier. This is one of many. With that being said, we are a crypto show, but I just thought we had to highlight that because like the market never fails to manipulate. The market never fails to manipulate. 5 minutes, we got Collector Crypt coming on Base Buddha for the first time in a little while, and the chart's actually really down on cards, which again gives us a perfect time to step in and apply the MCG effect, squeeze out some juice there. But let's talk broader markets real quick, guys. You see the title, you see what's going on, and I want to really discuss Ethereum here. Bitcoin looks good. Don't need to spend too much time on that. We're just kind of range bound here. let's talk Ethereum. Now, Ethereum today is not outperforming, but it has been outperforming since the launch of Robinhood. Ethereum has been outperforming the majors. With that being said, I am really starting to think the Ethereum trade is prime. I've been a bear on Ethereum. I've been in the short Ethereum to hell camp until recently. Because we have fundamental changes, and I think a lot of the market is still realizing this and slow to move. Net list up nice too. Chart, even though I don't own stocks. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's across the board a really nice bounce. But let's talk Ethereum real quick, okay? So here's what I'm seeing on the ground level, and I would be paying close attention to this because for years Ethereum has had nothing going for it. It's been slow. It's been boring. It's had no innovation. In the last couple of weeks, I've seen more innovation on Ethereum than I have in the last couple of years. Okay, number one big catalyst, the obvious one we're all waiting on here, Robinhood. Robinhood, being an Ethereum layer 2, is causing people to bridge from other chains onto Ethereum, causing stable capital to come to Ethereum. It is inherently bullish Ethereum that the largest retail financial application in the world has a layer 2 building on top of Ethereum. Okay. So Robinhood is catalyst number one for Ethereum, and I do think that is sticky. And if you heard the Q2 earnings report yesterday by Robinhood, it would be very, very, very clear to you what Vlad and the Robinhood team are focused on. They're focused on democratizing access to RWAs. That point simple, that's the biggest takeaway you could have got from yesterday's Q2 earnings report from Robinhood. They're going to do it through the blockchain. If you want to buy stocks in other countries, you're going to buy a tokenized version of that. If you are a United States citizen, you want to buy stocks outside of the United States, you're going to do it through crypto rails. If you want to buy private equities, we're going to democratize access to that too. They are very focused on bringing RWAs on chain. That's the Robinhood chain. That's the TLDR. Of course, agentic finance is a big push of theirs as well. He also mentioned, and we also like memes, but whatever. Very clearly, RWAs are the big takeaway. So you have Ethereum. You have RWAs popping off on Robinhood. We also have some innovation happening now. Uniswap V4 hooks are starting to catch everyone by storm. Now, this should come as no surprise. If you're watching MCG, you know what Uniswap V4 hooks are. Back when we interviewed Prism, and Prism was doing V4 hooks, we had the interview. I think for me, the Prism token itself was uninvestable because there was no value accrual to the Prism token. But what they did do that caught my interest, and I literally took it that day and went to partners and said, you guys need to implement V4 hooks because these are sick, was implementing V4 hooks and doing a new liquidity mechanism that allowed to stream for each position to work as a liquidity position. Each position was the automated market maker, okay? You didn't have to have a market maker on top of it. Each position got streamlined those fees. And I'm like, wow, this is a really cool innovation. V4 hooks now have popped off. Programmable popped off yesterday. We have everyone talking about V4 hooks. So number two, innovation is coming back to Ethereum, okay? So we have Robinhood, and we have innovation coming back to Ethereum. And number three, ETH OGs are waking up. The same guys that I was trading with 3, 4, 5 years ago on Ethereum when Ethereum was hot, they're starting to come back out of the woodworks. They're starting to see the innovation happen. So this is my general thesis on Ethereum right now. It does seem to be picking up quite a bit. So
Prism,
I would not trade Ethereum.
Prism ended up getting exploited, or something happened to it.
I think so.
But can we review Chill's trade from yesterday? Because guys, look, I've been cooking on some stuff, some business stuff. I was off stream yesterday when I was supposed to be, and this trade Chill found on stream, and it's like, what a terrible day to be not paying attention. Can you show real quick?
Yeah, I will show that in a second. Let me finish one more macro piece I wanted to cover, which is Uniswap. So we just mentioned Ethereum popping off. We mentioned Robinhood. What benefits from all of these things? Well, it's Uniswap. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Uniswap numbers, but they're very good. And Uniswap's up 10%. And I say this, of course, as I see 8 seconds ago, Anthem tweet about Uniswap. Clear trend going on here. MCG talks about it, Anthem tweets about it. Okay, whatever. So happened
in June, guys. We were talking about this like in June, very early July.
Well, I mean, the first day Robinhood Layer 2 came out, we said, what's set to benefit the most from it? Okay, Uniswap from obviously, it's the market maker, it's the AMM, it's liquidity, right? So Uniswap is going to get all those flows. It has in the past, it will continue to. It is. Arbitrum is getting 10% of all fees from Robinhood, and then we also talked to launch partners like Morpho, Lighter, of course. Right now, if you invested in Lighter, Uniswap, some of the other partners that launched with Robinhood, you're looking really, really good. With that being said, Uniswap is up 10% today, and their numbers look really good. This is the chart on Uniswap. It looks extremely bottomed out. It's a great looking chart for buyers, I should say. If you've been long since, a couple of years, my condolences. Nonetheless, recent buyers, the chart looks really, really good. And of course, we talk about V4 hooks again, and it seems like we have innovation and builders coming back to EVM. So of course, you have Uniswap popping off for that reason. Yeah, Ducks. We gotta talk about this. We gotta respect Buddha's time. He's in the back here, so we're gonna get cards up in a second. But after these streams, we'll talk about PO and the drama. This shit is crazy. What? Gotta say, like, I don't know why. I don't know why you would act like he did. We'll talk about it. Crazy drama though. Nonetheless, I think Uniswap is a really, really interesting trade here. Just go look at the numbers. They're popping off. They're leading, obviously, with the V4 hooks. Uniswap created those. And Robinhood sustainability directly ties to Uniswap profitability. So a couple things you want to watch there. With that being said, briefly, we want to cover programmable, which is what Chill talked about the other day. And I'll tab over to that right now. Ticker is V4. And notice this is not on Robinhood. This is not on Robinhood. This is on Ethereum mainnet. And I haven't seen anything pop off on Ethereum mainnet until the last week. We got Fake World Assets, or FWA, which is a gotcha for NFTs, right? It's fake, actually really funny. So we got FWA popping off. And then just yesterday, V4 popped off on Ethereum mainnet. And of course, this is like, think about the infrastructure layer for anyone trying to integrate and implement V4 hooks that are, it's like it's non-developer friendly, right? So if you're not a developer, you want to integrate V4 hooks, like low code style, you can do that through programmable. So very cool. Again, this is kind of a broader bet on V4 hooks, and I'm not entirely sure. I think it is also a launch pad, right? And 50%, I believe, is going towards buybacks is what I saw. Don't quote me on that.
He had it at
I think it's really
500K on stream, ripped to 6 mil the next day. So guys, something to keep note of in this market. And yeah, I've done some mainnet transactions in the last little bit, and it's, I left mainnet because it was unusable for Solana, but mainnet's actually nice. It's smooth now. It's decent.
So there you go. I mean, the people are coming back. So again, to kind of recap this, it feels like we're at the early innings of a bit of a shift to EVM in all aspects, in regards of usage, in regards of innovation, in regards of like OG wallets coming back. We are really starting to see that shift towards Ethereum. You want to get in at the early stage. You want to notice these trends at these early stages, because not a lot of people are paying attention right now. But if this does have legs, they quickly will. So, and again, we've been covering it about as early as you could be. So with that said, that's why you watch MCG. And before we get our next segment, which is Collector Crypt and cards coming on, I want you guys to do one thing, which I need to do myself actually, and some quick housekeeping here. So go to the MCG main page, again, live Monday through Friday, mcg.live, and just go down here to this quote tweet. You can see our guests on, our beautiful guests, Base Buddha, who I'm ready to pull up here in a second. All we're going to do, like, retweet, let's let the boys know it's about to get exciting here. And again, we'll cover more on the Ken Griffin Citadel purchase of situational awareness. We talked V4 hooks. We'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about ETH as well. Without further ado, I need to bring up, and I need a warm welcome, a very warm welcome for my incredibly good, handsome, ripped, shredded, beautiful friend who is Base Buddha in the waiting room, because we haven't talked cards in a little bit of time, guys. And I gotta do some more favors teeing it up here. Collector Crypt is like the biggest breakout consumer app on Solana, by far, hands down. It's been incredibly successful. Gotcha machines have taken over. They were like paving the road for this forever ago. I remember when we were in Miami with Base Buddha, we were talking about how how Twom had sent outbound messages to like Nikki and other people, basically like evangelizing Collector Crypt. No one was showing them the time of day. The grind has paid off. Collector Crypt is huge right now. The numbers are incredible. We're going to talk about some updates because Logan Paul just launched his own gotcha. What does this mean for Collector Crypt? Long-winded, but let's pull my boy Base Buddha. What's going on?
Hey, how we doing, guys? Good to be back. Once again, we're seeing I'm just going to brand it the MCG effect. Every time I come on this show, that token bumps a little bit, don't it?
Well, it's bumping a little bit. Hopefully after this call, it It bumps a lot more. We're not here to talk price. Your voice, I mean, it just, you get on here and the butter.
It's like a radio show. What
bread. Man, you gotta love it. Well, we're excited to get you back on. It's been a little while. I mean, when we covered you last, it was closer to Miami Accelerate. And you guys had just announced partnerships with comic books, I believe it was, and kind of like directionally gave us a vision on where Collector Crypt was headed in terms of, hey, like this RWA stuff is pretty cool. We're going to expand outside of, just Pokemon cards, One Piece cards. It can kind of be anything. Recently we saw a MetaDAO raise for like collectible Matchbox cars, or I think they did Hot Wheels cars. Yeah. Which I thought was really cool. And it's kind of like, I mean, I think you guys were a big inspiration for them and anyone who's following suit to just like start this gacha trend. The gacha trend's taking shape. How are you feeling? What are you seeing right now on the ground floor?
And how's your Hot Wheels portfolio looking?
I have 2 of them. In fact, I was just at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was Matchbox that had a Halo themed like Warthog Hot Wheels. And of course it was sold out every single day, but like I've got my eyes set on eBay. I'm buying the Halo Warthog Hot Wheels car. I need it.
Not if I can get my hands on it first.
Hey, Dom is like the Fortnite generation.
No,
but
don't say that. I'm a huge Halo guy.
I am the Halo 3 generation. Halo 2
we used to settle our beef on Halo 3, like or even Halo 2 was really my heyday, man.
Yeah, well, Buddha, you and I have screamed at each other online, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Take me back to those game lobbies, man. That was
Got your level. Did you get level 50?
I got level everything, dude. That was like all I used to do. I got
level
the Hayabusa
50
mask,
Halo
bro.
3.
I had like the flaming skull mask.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It makes me sad now because I play that game on mouse and keyboard computer, and I just get steamrolled, dude. It is way sweatier than I remember. Like controller on the Xbox back in the day. I don't know if my reflexes were better or if people just. I'm not entirely sure, but I get my ass handed to me these days.
Okay, Josh. Okay, Josh. Dude, this guy's got hips for a white boy. Nonetheless, what about Halo Reach? No mention of Halo Reach, guys?
Love me some Halo Reach.
That was my game.
Yeah.
That was my Halo of choice.
All right.
The Warthog Matchbox car sounds insane.
Halo 3 was
look it up, dude. It's so nice. I really want one. But okay. I was just looking at the, all of Solana tokenized RWAs. Collectibles hasn't even cracked the top 10 yet. You look at it, number one's like U.S. Treasury bonds or debt. Yeah, makes sense. It's like $16 billion. The top 10 valuation-wise goes up to $8 billion. And so like collectibles aren't even in the top 10 for tokenized RWAs yet. And it's like, we've got a long way to go because collectibles as a market was 15 billion last year. It's set to be 24 billion by 2030. Like we've got a long way to go. We have a horizon that we're looking at right now that allows for like better price discovery, instant liquidity, instant changing of hands with these collectibles, and it makes sense. The grass is certainly greener on the other side where we're forecasting this to be. Like collectibles belong on chain. We've proven that this year, and we've got a long way to go. But there is just so much potential in this market for tokenization of collectibles.
Well, and Buddha, I think people are clearly realizing it. And of course, I'm going to reference here Logan Paul's new gacha product that he's putting out, which I did look at. He said, 90% marketplace buybacks. I'm like, wait a minute, that's like very bad compared to like Collector Crypt and what they can offer. And I saw some of their fees. Yeah,
90%, and then what's the fees he's packing on top? Go put $100 onto Rip It, and then take that same $100 to Collector Crypt. See how far you get, please.
So, but I mean, I think that's like a bit of the alpha here. You're talking about like grass is greener and people are starting to realize, but like Logan Paul's a major voice. I mean, we have to remember what he did for Pokemon. Love him or hate the guy. Like he did do a lot in terms of bringing attention and like notoriety.
Set the Charizard
Pokemon
market.
He sure did. He did.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Is this like a rising tide situation where, I mean, like does Logan Paul's effect stem to gacha to like make this hit critical mass, or like is it a nothing burger?
He has done a lot of work to evangelize this space, and you said love him or hate him. I'll take the latter. I find him to be a bit of a grifter, but some of the biggest evangelists in this space are a little bit grifty. How many people are still holding the bag from his tokenized Pikachu illustrator that they never got paid out for, right? He took it to Golden and sold it for 16 million instead. None of his token holders or fractionalized NFT holders saw a penny of that. Right. I don't think that's the right thing to do. he did just put out a piece about Koro Mew and the glossy Pikachu and stuff yesterday. Go check eBay for Koro prices right now. It is the Logan Paul effect. The dude can move markets. He's got a way with words. I found that interview to be very informative. And I've actually personally been chasing the Lily Pad Mew from those Koro books for a long time now. It's one of my grails that I would love to own. And it's like, you got to take the good with the bad. He is a flash in the pan. He is great for predicting like what's the next thing we're going to have a mania about. You know, I think Koro is this next. He's moved on from the Illustrator to the Charizard to Koro. And he's making his rounds. He's done a great job evangelizing it. He's done a great job bringing attention to the space. It has not come with its drawbacks, though. There are a lot of people that have been burned by,
Yeah, but you see him create a gotcha, and again, like this is something that I think, based on all my hearings and findings, it's still very niche. Like, there's not a big presence at card shows. The average collector maybe doesn't even know about it, and you see him create
the
something
average
like a
kid
gotcha
on
market.
YouTube probably has never heard of the word gotcha, so it does kind of put the word in popular culture in a way.
And I want his platform to succeed the exact same way I want GameStop's platform to succeed, right? Because they have a way better stickiness into consumer retail than Collector Crypt does at this point. And, ask me the same time next year where we're at, and I hope we're just as sticky. But the path that they're paving for consumer retail to kind of like get experience with this whole set of what a gotcha mechanic is incredible. I want him to succeed. I want GameStop to succeed. And ultimately, I want to eat both their lunches because we have a better product.
Well, and so I think that's what I came seeking for today, is like, what are the tailwind effects of this kind of becoming more mainstream adopted? And I want you to kind of walk me through it, right? So let's say Logan Paul launches his platform, it onboards 10,000 users, 100,000, whatever it might be. People start realizing, okay, there are better ways to do this. Even though Logan Paul's fees are crazy, I'm still actually benefiting maybe more from eBay or other things. How does this kind of lead into them saying, wait a minute, but there are better options even outside of this, where I have better inventory at Collector Crypt, I have better fees at Collector Crypt, they buy back at a higher market rate, their oracle's better. Like, show me the tailwind effect of something like a Logan Paul creating a gotcha platform.
The tailwind effect is that you get people that love these being okay with them not being able to be held, right? And so, like, some of my favorite cards I've never seen in person before. They've lived on chain. That's a hard concept for people to grasp. And it's like, well, wait, it's a collectible. I'm not holding on to it physically in my home. How am I collecting this thing? And it's like the idea of a digital marketplace, a physical asset with a tokenized representation of ownership. That's the Trojan horse, right? Be it, whether it's wrapped in GameStop branding or Logan Paul's branding, or, the next flavor of the month that decides to do it. You may see an eBay or a whatnot pull up a gachapon here as well. It's a very successful business model. What I don't want to see happen is these people doing a new discovery into a new market, getting burned so bad that they don't want to try out others that may have a better offering or something like that, right? And so, you've got to balance this evangelization with like the potential for extraction, or for people to get seriously burned on this. And
how do you do that? Like, is it being more at physical events? Like, how do you break through that kind of marketing challenge and make sure CC or Collector Crypt is right there front and center?
I've been doing this. I have a goal for myself. I just actually wrapped up Fanatics Fest and San Diego Comic-Con earlier this month during the start of the World Cup. I was at the LA Card Show. Prior to that, I was at Collecticon in Cleveland. I was at one in Pittsburgh not too long ago. And it's like every convention or card shop that I go to, I make a goal for myself: buy at least 2 cards from vendors with crypto. Get them onboarded, get them to download Phantom or Soulflare wallets, purchase something. Twom and I bought this card from a vendor, had never used crypto before. He asked to be paid in Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, buddy, Bitcoin stays at home. I don't travel with Bitcoin. I do have Solana. I do have USDC. What can we do to make a deal? And it's like, you've got to meet the collectors where they are, and money talks. And so I approach these vendors and I say, hello, I'd like to give you money. This money exists as this on-chain payment. It's USDC. Have you ever heard of it? And they voice their pain points. I had a vendor at Fanatics Fest say, I used to take crypto, but it's so volatile. I just don't do that anymore. I'm like, well, I have great news for you. Have you heard of USDC? The vendor that bought this BOA, he wanted Bitcoin at first. And then I
Crazy.
talked him into Solana. He wanted nothing to do with USDC. He's like, if we're going to make a deal on something that I see as a bit risky, I want upside as well. USDC doesn't move. I want the Solana because it might be worth more. And so we paid $1,300 for this card with Solana. It was a 5-minute conversation that Twam and I had with this vendor. We walked away with this BOA, alternate art in a PSA 10. It's a great card. It's going to be in the vault here. You'll find it on a gotcha machine in a week or two. Prior to that, I bought, let's see where it is.
But I even want to double tap on this. You walked away with the card, but I think it seems like more so you walked away with some learnings. Like, what do those learnings manifest to? Okay, we see the pain points, we see the holdups here. How do you guys implement that into the business meaningfully?
One big pain point for vendors is it's a cash business. And so when someone doesn't have cash and they're doing a large purchase, they do one of two things. They do a wire transfer, or they're doing like a Venmo payment or Zelle or something like that. Wire transfers are incredibly slow. Most of the time they don't settle up until that next Monday. They're expensive. If you are giving someone $20,000 for a card and you try to Venmo it to them, Venmo's gonna be like, well, hold up, pal. What are you doing right now? And so there's so many middlemen in between the vendor and their money, and there shouldn't be. I don't walk around with 20 grand at a convention, but sometimes I want to buy a $20,000 card. I don't have that money in cash. And it's like, you can get an instant payment. You can move it to your bank if you'd like. Hell, I can send you, what is it now? PYUSD? You can PayPal someone cryptocurrency instantly right now. You can do the same thing with Venmo. And so the takeaway is money talks. There's several forms of money. People were apprehensive to the credit card before it existed, and same thing with the debit card. And it's like, we, as evangelists of cryptocurrency and crypto payments, have a job to do. We can't meet someone, they didn't sell Visa architecture by explaining the nuances of how a payment processor works. They sold the sizzle. They didn't sell the steak. They sold the benefit of not carrying cash around with you. There are a lot of ways that you can identify the pain points that these people have, present this solution, and not make it feel like homework. The second you start talking about instant finality or high throughput or transactions per second, you've lost that vendor. And so, we have a job to distill this down into its essence, which is fast money, verifiable money, and make that our message that we present to these vendors and purchasers.
At a show like this, what percentage of vendors would you say are using crypto payments?
If I ask 10 vendors if they'll accept a crypto payment, 2 to 3 say yes.
Okay.
So it's still well under 50%.
Honestly, that's higher than I would have expected, though. 2 to 3 accepting crypto. But we got a long way to go. What about internally at Collector Crypt? I remember I saw a tweet. There was this whole debate going on around the timeline of what is more valuable? Is it buybacks or growing the inventory? I naturally lean towards growing the underlying value of the assets is more valuable than kind of buying back and having nothing to show for it. And there's a whole argument or conversation there, but that's not what I want to focus on. I saw you guys mention a number. I think I saw you guys are doing $2 million a week, or at that point you were doing $2 million a week in inventory purchasing. Maybe talk me through some of that. Is that accurate or? Yeah,
it is. In fact, at our peak, so in June, we ramped up inventory procurement to the highest it's ever been. Prior to June, we were doing $1 million or so, between 700,000 and $1 million of purchasing a week. We ramped that up to 2 million. I think 1 week we did 3.5 million of purchasing because we were trying to stock all of the sports gotcha machines that we were putting on chain as well. We just launched 12 sports gotchas as well. So in addition to the Pokemon and One Piece inventory we were trying to catch up with, we were trying to build a nest egg of all of these sports gotchas in time for the World Cup, and just to make a clean launch. For the longest time we had one sports gotcha on our platform, and it was a combined sports platform, and it wasn't doing as well as we knew the demand for the sports market out there was. And so we accelerated to about 2 million a week. We hit 3.5 million at one point, and now we're back down between 1.5 and 2 million per week of procurement to catch up with these demands. The partnership with Jupiter has accelerated it as well. When Jupiter launched, we saw 2,000 daily active users, up from our normal at the time of 650 to 750. And now we're down around 800, 900 again. So this Jupiter launch has done wonders for like our daily active users. And like our mean pre-Jupiter and post-Jupiter is still elevated like 25% now, which is great for me. That's exactly what I want to see. Every time I look at Blockworks, I scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and see how many daily active users we have, because that's my number.
That's my number as well. And so one that people are overlooking the most, because naturally this is a top of funnel. More users equal more everything else over time,
And
right?
this Jupiter integration, I mean, people know it for trading, but this, I actually just pulled it up here. It is a really nice, they have a really nice page here. I'm actually quite impressed by this. Can you walk through this partnership and how this came to be?
Yeah, and so, you can either build on top of the best API in marketplace and open source VRF out there, or you can compete against it. And a lot of these players that are coming into the space that want to integrate a gotcha are looking at these things and are like, why not play ball with the top dog, right? Like Collector Crypt has this down to a science. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you have a unique angle or a unique set of users, or a great platform and a great distribution methodology, why would you waste a year at the drawing board, securing inventory, buying your own vault, tokenizing these cards, getting a pricing oracle, getting an open source VRF to work for you? You don't have to start from ground zero. You can partner with us. And some of the biggest names in Solana have opted to partner with us. We've got Slabs, which is a great partnership. We've got Soulflare. We've got interesting perspectives from companies like Collector Roll and Rosentica, One Arena, Phantom. We've got like over 20 partners at this point, and I'm sorry if I didn't name you immediately here. You're still very important to me. But it just makes sense. You take this unique angle or this unique distribution methodology to your existing users, run with it, and we'll supply the infrastructure and the inventory and the underlying technology, and you can go and kick ass to the best of your ability.
So maybe help me understand this. I saw when you partnered with Slabs, you'd started partnering with a few people. There's a lot of people building on Collector Crypt. And my thinking was, okay, their angle for distribution is not necessarily that they go out and find distribution themselves. Rather, it's integrate this into as many massive distribution engines as possible. Would you say that's on par with your strategy here going forward? Are you guys just focused really on evangelizing to the Jupiters, the Soulflares, these other front ends, and then just having them integrate Collector Crypt on the back end as a distribution method for yourself?
I'd say it's a two-pronged approach here, because when you integrate with these partners, you're amplifying your marketing and distribution as well. However, if you look at every single one of our partners before, we have we're kind of marketing to the same chunk of folks, right? And we'll call them crypto users. And so like Joe, my head of business, and myself, we've got very closely related efforts, but they're dual efforts. And so Joe and I are out spearheading as many partnerships as we can possibly wrangle, borrowing against your collectibles with Loop Scale and Jupiter Order Book, which is a great one that just came up on screen, but I'm also out running direct-to-consumer ads, consumer retail ads. I'm on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and we've really been running and it's not even that much yet. I think I spent $5,000 last month on ad spend. It's doing amazingly well, mind you. But it's a two-pronged approach, right? Because not only do we have to grow the moat, we got to grow the pie that we can eat from. So we've really grown the moat. We've solidified our presence as the top dog here. We've grown the moat in terms of like our distribution partners within crypto. But if we are to, 5x revenue, we're not going to do that from crypto consumers. We're going to do that by tapping into a traditional consumer retail aspect and really accelerating this thing. Making Collector Crypt a household name is just as important with partnering with the next big whale.
Tell me a little bit more about how you guys are planning to do this. I keep going back to this example, but it was a super fascinating find for me to hear that FOMO, the majority of their user base, I think 700,000 of their 1 million, don't quote me on that, but a large majority of their user base came from outside of crypto Twitter, for example, TikTok or Instagram. And I have seen these videos on Instagram and TikTok, and mind you, they are kind of grifty and LARPy and maybe not fully truth, but they onboard a ton of retail users. How are you looking at, I guess, TikTok and Instagram as like a go-to-market distribution layer for you guys?
Well, there's one key piece of the puzzle that we are very, very close to finalizing right now, and that's our app. And I think that's why FOMO had so much success, because You can market your product, and then the direct call to action is download this app. You don't have to give a shit about crypto. You don't need a seed phrase or a wallet or any of that. Download this app, send it some money, interact with our platform. And like that's a missing piece of the puzzle right now that we are doing our damnedest to, get off the ground and get out to the masses immediately. But I could show you some bonkers numbers right now on Meta Business Manager. We have one ad that's generated like almost $700,000 in revenue for us off a $3,000 ad spend.
Oh my goodness.
$3,000 has generated over $700,000 in
oh
sales.
My goodness. Can you show us the ad creative? Is it possible to show us the ad creative?
Yeah, let me
I use Facebook Ads Manager when it was called Facebook, like in 2011, 2012. That's how I started my career, was digital marketing, and no one advertised on Facebook back then. It was really new. You could get like sub 50-cent downloads and stuff like that, and they were all real users. They weren't even bots back then. It was
how do I show this without revealing the sauce?
Yeah, well, we want the sauce. As a marketer, I'd love to.
Well, I mean, I guess it's somewhere on the internet. Like if you find a Collector Crypt ad pop up somewhere on the internet, I
have it here. I can share. I'll share it. So I'll say this: if you scroll Instagram and if you scroll Facebook and you see my ads, please message me when you see them because it really gets me going.
That's interesting. I'm gonna look out for them now. We've seen this rise of like UGC or like subtle advertisements where it's an ad inside like an entertaining video, and like they're doing very well. They've been very successful on TikTok.
And so I don't even know if you guys can hear this, but
if you zoom it in, we'll bring it on stage. We haven't brought it on stage yet. We're just letting you get. Yeah, it'll kind of obscure your background stuff there.
Okay, there we go.
All right, we'll pop her up.
All right, let's hear it. Okay.
Oh, this is literally you. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we ripped the chart out on screen.
That's amazing.
We can't hear the volume, by the way, but
damn. Well, I'll get you a better ad. Go start scrolling Facebook or Instagram, and this ad will come up. I'm telling you.
Okay, so that's really crazy. Well, let's talk about these numbers then. So you said you put $3,000 into this ad campaign, and it's generated $700,000 in revenue.
Yeah. So as of last, we just did a monthly recap. In July, I spent about $5,000, and I've generated $941,000 in sales.
How do you track?
Of that was from the one ad, that really just popped off. And if you look at Meta Business Manager, there's a sea of failures as well. I didn't just click my heels together and make this amazing ad. It's been 3 months of trial and error.
Well, I'm glad you kind of struck gold on that. How are you able to meaningfully verify that those attestations came from that video? Like, how do you know that the volume came directly from that video?
It's a mixture of very precise UTM codes plus Google pixel tracking, and then CAPI, which is a conversion API that we insert into the back end of our website. And so all of these three things kind of work in unison. It's like, this user from Australia clicked on this ad, did these 5 things on the website, and conversion API will tell us how many times that they've purchased something, right? And so I started off with reach-based ads, just trying to grow this warm audience. When we started on Instagram, we had 0 users. I didn't buy fake followers. It doesn't do anything for you. And so, I think we've got 1,700 followers on Instagram or something right now. The first 3 months, I just spent advertising funny clips and stuff from our live streams to them. And I grew this warm audience. And then, I'm like, okay, we've positioned ourselves as a collectibles and TCG authority figure. Let's go for some sales-based ads now. And so I made some montage videos. I made some static ads that you've probably been used to seeing where it's just Collector Crypt has cards. Click here to buy some cards. Those didn't convert very well. It doesn't mean I'm done using those. I just need to, dial in the right figures for it. But when we started doing montages, when we started doing social proof with big hits and stuff like that, we really stood out from a lot of the players on here. There's a ton of gacha companies advertising on Instagram. It's a very powerful tool, but their ads are lackluster. It's a static image that says click here for 25% off.
Sure.
And so, they're attracting an audience that wants to come for a deal, or they're attracting an audience that wants something for free. And we're not. We're attracting an audience that gets excited when they pull a card they like.
Interesting. I mean, so very clearly that this has been a very good, vector and vertical for you guys in terms of business revenue. You spent $5,000, made over 700,000 from that. Are you guys going to start upping that budget for marketing, or I mean, what kind of comes now from this?
Yeah, it's time that I meet with Web 2 marketing consultants. I'm a Web 3 guy. I'm doing my damnedest, but I will always be the first to tell you what I don't know, and I think
It's
that's
an
a very
engine.
important.
It's definitely an engine.
Yes.
Because what about TikTok? Are you seeing similar traction on TikTok ads? And I know TikTok has like marketplace functionality where you can actually like tag buy widgets or something into their ad system. But yeah, any success or learnings there?
TikTok, we're still just warming up. We're kind of like applying this Instagram feature that worked to TikTok now, and we're growing our audience slowly. I've not done any direct sales conversion ads on TikTok yet because we're still trying to like break through the noise and warm it up. Exact same thing on YouTube. And like really where we take this next step is Instagram and Meta Business Manager is like this battleground for telling you what a successful ad is. The next step is like Google. How can we just advertise on any website and use cookies to track these users wherever they go throughout the internet?
Not to get hung up on this advertising thing. Are users coming through and then are they just using their credit card? Do they see crypto at any point? Back to our kind of, what can maybe the Web3 community do here to convert people? At what point do they use crypto or not at all in this ad flow?
It's like 80-20, maybe even 90-10. Majority of people that were driving from traditional marketing are using crypto. So they're connecting into CoinFlow. The first time you go to Collector Crypt, if you've never signed up before, and you click sign in, you get two options, and then a third option to click for more options. But you sign in with Google or Apple, and that's something that everyone is familiar with doing. If I'm on a website for the very first time, and I can sign in with Google, I'm doing it. And so that's where a majority of these users are coming from. They're signing in with Google. Unbeknownst to them, a custodial wallet in the background is created for them. And then, they're topping up their wallet with their credit card like they would do to make any purchase online.
So kind of curious on this, and I'm with Josh. I don't want to get too hung up on it, but are you seeing a difference in the average user coming from Instagram in terms of like which packs they're opening? Like maybe that they're favoring the $25 pack rather than the $1,500 pack. Obviously, crypto we know is well capitalized, and they're I think very plus EV focused. And how can we make money? What's our edge here? Whereas maybe the average retail user not so much.
Let's see here. I
love this analytics, by the way. This is where business meets, just curiosity.
So Charizard winner, the average purchase is $122. So somewhere right between our $50 pack and our $250 pack is where people are landing. And so I would beckon to say that the majority of people are using either of those two packs, and then there's going to be some outliers of $25 packs, and I'm not sure. I've not seen like a $2,500 pack purchase just yet, but that one ad has signaled 5,235 purchases for us. Overwhelming majority of them, that average purchase is $122.
And how's that compare to, I think, maybe previously, like your average crypto user?
So our average crypto user now, if I go back to Blockworks,
here, I can pull that up.
In any given day, they're spending about $7,000 per session. So the average crypto user is spending a tremendous amount more per session than a Web 2 user, which is right in line for expected behavior.
Yeah.
Interesting. While we're on the conversation of metrics, maybe we talk through metrics. Obviously, the cards token is down a bit, but metrics are just, they're chugging. They're up and to the right. You get
it's up 25% today,
This is true. Well, we're live and on MCG, so no,
we are on
no
MCG, of course. So
no surprise there. But with that being said, like you get your peaks and troughs, but we're still seeing overwhelmingly that the lows are still higher than any previous highs. Internally, how are you guys looking at revenues, driving factors towards revenue growth? Obviously, Jupiter was a smashing hit here. Like as you can see, 1,974 users in daily users, which has come down a little bit. Again, still higher than previous highs. Even how are you seeing growth?
Yeah, and so, if you look at like the gross profit or like pack openings per week, you're going to see this giant spike in June. And that's when we had two good things going for us, right? We just dropped the Mythical Gotcha machine. It was a new the highest price point we had ever offered on our site. But we were also running this thing called June Gotcha Games, which was a 1 billion point airdrop and competition for our community over the month of June that had them completing quests and earning prizes. And so if you take like the dollar value of 1 billion points, it's $500,000. So we had a month-long sprint to celebrate $1 billion in revenue, or excuse me, $1 billion in volume, which, you know, the last time I met with you guys, that was the talk of the town when we were at Accelerate, right? We had just done that in May. And so in June, I wanted to celebrate this milestone with a giant community incentive. And so we rewarded legacy holders and whales. We rewarded our token holders. And then we ponied up half of that. So 500 million points were up for grabs for June Gotcha Games. And it was catch every evolution, or, you know, catch everyone in the Straw Hat Gang, or rip a pack and pull all these baseball and football cards. And every week there was a competition. There were leaderboards. We commissioned our artist, Scotty, to make these really cool badges to track like login streak progress, or, you know, a lot of the timeline sentiment right now, if you've seen our badges, it's because we give you badges if you have a bad luck streak as well as a good luck one. You know, so we've really just like gamified the participation on our platform. And June Gotcha Games was like kind of the first exemplification of that. And so what does growth look like for us internally? It's how do we keep up with these new emerging TCGs like Riftbound and Lorcana, Dragon Ball Z? You know, how do we increase our technology to allow for the tokenization of cards that may not be graded? You know, how can we get raw cards on the platform? How can we get raw comic books on the platform? How do we get coins on the, you know, there's a hell of a lot of things that you can collect more than just TCGs. And like the second we upgrade our vaulting technology and our tokenization technology, we're able to add, you know, more verticals and more SKUs to the collectibles market, be it signed memorabilia or Hot Wheels or
what about Hot
records
Wheels? Can we ask, are you guys adding Hot Wheels anytime soon, or you kind of want to see how?
Not anytime soon. Our focus is still in the immediate cards, and so like we're trying to increase the technology here to allow us to add cards that aren't graded to our platform.
And does this turn you guys into a grading service at some point, or like what kind of are there other businesses that come out of just the gotcha?
You know, I don't know if you'll see us as a grading service, but you'll see us as a steward of your cards to that grading company in the very near future. You may have the option at some point, if we have raw cards, to send this off to so and so for grading. And again, no guarantees there. I'm talking blue sky right now, but you know,
Blue Sky Buddha, we like it.
You'll probably never see a CC10, you know, a collector crypt 10, but you may be able to send things off to grading.
Well, Daddy Duster says, I'm tired of PSA grading. Would be sick if there was a better alternative. CC10 sounds really clean, though.
It sounds clean. You know, I've really grown for an appreciation for CGC cards recently. I think Beckett's doing a kick-ass job as well. I mean, PSA just bought Beckett, so we'll see how long that lasts. But CGC is great. The CGC 10 Pristine is a badass slab. It means a lot to me. And I think like if liquidity and consumer demands were neck and neck with a PSA 10 and a 10 Pristine, you know, they would be doing a lot better than they currently are. CGC kind of gets dunked on still, and I won't stand for it. I think it's overplayed. CGC is a great grading company, and there's others out there that don't even exist in the US. Europe has some grading companies. Japan's got a great one as well.
On this, there is like a bit of fractionalization in the grading sphere. Just like in crypto, we have fractionalization across chains, which spreads liquidity, which also makes it harder to value certain cards if it's graded by someone, you know, PSA versus CGC or whatever it might be. Like, and maybe this is not your problem to solve here, but how do we close that gap to make sure it's like to kind of break this fractionalization barrier that's like making the same card maybe two completely different values based on who grades it?
We actually do solve that. And I think it's like when you bring these cards on chain, you have a proof and a history of transaction data to pull from. And like if I go to a card show right now and I buy a Mew for $400, there's nothing logging that. You know what I mean? It's like, so the only sales that really get logged right now for tracking price history is like, did it end on an eBay auction or a Fanatics auction? Did someone click buy it now on eBay? we have a very big bottleneck right now for price discovery of actual cards, because no peer-to-peer transactions are really taken into consideration here. There's no data to verify it, right? And so you can have a peer-to-peer transaction on chain that absolutely verifies that card's value. And so things like price discovery happen a lot quicker, particularly with raw cards. And so I'm really, really excited for that.
I want to get your take on this question. Bullish or bearish on the guy buying all the Kabutos? And do you think that leaves a vacuum in the Pokeverse?
Oh, I'm bullish on Kabuto King. You know, he's acting like a Yahoo on Twitter these days, which is fine because he's got clout. But like, he was the first, and he was like, I want every single Kabuto. I don't care who says what. Like, this is my lane right now. And so, like, shout out to Kabuto King. He bought what made him happy. And really, when you distill Collector Crypt down to one essence, it's collect what makes you happy. And Kabuto King is the exemplification of that.
Interesting. Another great question here in the comments here. And I do want to talk about partnerships, because you're kind of going down two routes. You're going like the distribution route with Jupiter. Can we expect a Phantom collaboration? Can we expect what other distribution engines are you looking to partner with? And I guess the general question here, I'm not going to take away from this, is there more partnerships in the work to use Collector Crypt infra like Jupiter / Slow Flare did?
Robinhood.
Give us some hints. Yeah, Robinhood. Like, who are you guys talking to?
I will say, I won't kiss and tell, but I will say, Joe, our head of BD, just was in the United States for 2 weeks. All that man did was meet with clients and talk about distribution of our infrastructure. And so you're going to see a lot of companies coming through the pipeline using Collector Crypt infrastructure. And there are some gigantic names that will be coming out in due time. And there are some, smaller fish that have incredibly unique angles that I'm really excited to see, not skip the line, but just partner with this all they were missing was the inventory API and vaulting technology, right? They have an incredible idea. They've got a great gamified platform. They have an existing consumer base. And it's like, all they were missing was like a trusted partner to plug into. And I'm excited for the small fish just as much as I am for like the whales that will have to be announced before the summer ends.
Nice.
Okay.
We're getting close to wrap here. And Dom, I don't know if this was some of your line of questioning, but we did briefly talk about the buybacks versus buying more inventory piece. I don't know if we got a definitive answer there. Any updates on like the tokenomics, buybacks versus inventory? How do you guys think about that?
I'm going to get fudded if I state how I actually feel about buybacks. So I'll just leave it at this. There are very successful coins doing buybacks, and it doesn't move the needle at one bit. I think it's a necessary thing. Collector Crypt will have been doing buybacks for months before we ever publicly announce that buybacks are live. But, we want cards to become more than a rewards token, obviously. We want cards token to be a way to gain exposure to the growth of Collector Crypt and the expanding universe of tokenized collectibles. That's it. And so, short-term Dakota can look to bull post and partner with, some meme coin pump and dumpers and talk about buybacks, and the token price will go up 30% and then crash back down. I don't give a shit about that. Collector Crypt success, if the Clarity Act passes, is ultimately card success. And so, you will thank me later for being long-term focused. Let's not miss the forest for the trees here. Microsoft doesn't go out and shill $MSFT. They never will. They pump Microsoft. Microsoft's success is their shared success. And we're not there yet. I can't be the first to say, hey, we're going to go against the SEC guidelines and just say that the cards token is a representation of Collector Crypt success. I can't say that right now. We're very close to being able to see that. The holders will benefit as Collector Crypt grows while participating in the largest on-chain collectibles marketplace and inventory. That will happen. We're not there yet. We need litigation and guidelines to tell us how to operate. And so, with
that being said, what is the best metric that we should be tracking to kind of gauge the success of the company? I mean, I know you like user growth, inventory growth. Is that another one?
I would say, the last I checked, we're set to be $90 million in revenue this year. If we continue on our trajectory how it is right now.
It's not so bad.
I would look at our continually increasing revenue, and I would look at the continually increasing value of our on-chain inventory, and use both of those figures to draw your own conclusions.
Got you. Buddha, we do have to wrap here. I want to close it off kind of with general thoughts. It seems like you guys are making a big push towards retail with this app rolling out soon, with these UGC and campaigns that you're doing on Instagram and TikTok and so forth. What does it take to get from this point we are today to that critical mass where people like Logan Paul onboard a bunch of new users and everyone's using, gotcha machines and storing and grading their cards digitally rather than, in person?
It takes a ton of marketing. Like we spent $5,000 last month. Imagine what happens when I spend 50 grand in a month. And we're going to get closer to tangible partnerships. By the end of the year, you will see a celebrity rip a pack on Collector Crypt. I want mainstream distribution. I want to normalize this whole thing. I think GameStop and your Logan Pauls and your even your arena clubs have done a good job of like trying to normalize this. I want the exact same for Collector Crypt. And, I would be a terrible marketer if I scaled before I had signal. I'm telling you right now, I have signal. We have a lot of good signal. I'm ready to scale this. It really does come down to marketing. And like, as much as crypto likes to kind of scoff at the idea of like a paid ad or this and that shit works, man. And, that is my number one focus this year is how do I get the most effective ads and ad spend out to the masses? We're only increasing from there.
All right, Super Bowl ad in the future.
That's
Great.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna get Matt Damon in a Super Bowl ad, and then we'll be good to go.
Jeez.
Verifiable claim here. Bookmark it. Dude, I love when you get excited. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I mean, just like, again, you leave us here, and I'm mega bullish on Collector Crypt, consumer apps, and crypto in general, and every single thing that comes out of your mouth. So we appreciate you, Buddha.
Thanks, Buddha.
It's a pleasure as always, gentlemen. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, talk soon.
Buddy.
Take care.
Peace. Banger.
Legend. Such a legend.
The guy's got a radio voice and he knows what to say. He's got away with his words. Nonetheless, that was Collector Crypt.
They've come so far since April. Like just the metrics have exploded, the integrations. He did mention something about collateral. This was talked about, using the cards as collateral, I think as a one-day thing. I don't know about Jupe specifically.
We mentioned this on our last call. We talked about loop scale. Now Jupe blend is a thing, but yeah, you can use your cards as collateral, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah. This question this one should have got in there, but we missed it. We'll get on that one next time for sure.
Yeah, I think the general takeaway is, I mean, despite not being at the Pico weekly revenue, it's still like growing, and we've taken a dip, but it's a marginally higher level than it has been in the past. And like, again, trend is up and to the right, pretty much hockey sticking.
Market's been trend up to the bottom, so a little bit.
Users are growing. I really do think, and I hate going back to this Logan Paul thing, but I really do think that Logan Paul is going to be a pretty big driver of like normalizing gotcha. And maybe it's not Logan Paul that brings it to the masses, but maybe it's him tipping off someone else in the world that, and that person is the vehicle to deliver it to the masses. But I think we are there. We are there. So it's nice to see that their marketing's ramping up too.
Yep. We've got to go to Railgun next. Dom, you want to tee up?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, guys. Railgun is one we've been talking about for a while. And of course, perfect timing here as Ethereum starts to pick up. Railgun's mantra seems to be privacy at the protocol level. We saw Zach had the exploit a while ago. It seems like the key difference here is we want to make sure the protocol has privacy, not necessarily the entire blockchain, but like we're not doing this at the blockchain level. Not the entire blockchain has to be private, but at the protocol level, we can privatize things and make it valuable. So you avoid things like Zcash, which had the ongoing exploit for, I think it was like a couple of years open that no one really found until recently. So this is kind of the conversation I want to have. Where does privacy stand today? We had the entire privacy narrative and run up really
impacts of AI.
Impacts of AI, just where privacy stands. So, of course, we have no one better than our friend Alan to come up, core contributor at Railgun, to break it down. Welcome to the show, Alan.
What's going on, dudes? How's everything going?
It's going well, man.
I love your Uniswap shirt. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. I should maybe next time, if you guys have me on again, I'll wear the Infinix swag. I'll try to keep you guessing.
Let's go, dude. We have all the crypto merch. Love to see it. I also love your room. It looks like you may be getting sushi or something out at
yeah, it's not a LARP. I live in Japan. So
Really?
what time is it? It's 2:21
Oh my
a.m.
gosh.
My neck of the woods. So we'll
We'll
keep
get
it
you out of here a decent
a
time.
good late night chat.
Yeah, well, you look bright-eyed and bushy-tails, all things considered. But man, you live in Japan. That's pretty cool. It makes sense now. I mean, the theme of railgun is so like it's so tied to that Japanese culture.
Yeah, it's funny. I was doing an AMA in Japan. This had to be in like 2021 or something like that. And they were like, "Do you like anime?" And I'm like, "I mean, I guess I've watched a couple." And like, "Oh, so the protocol must be named after the anime." And so apparently there's an anime called Railgun. I've never seen it, so maybe after this I'll go watch it and let you guys know what it's like.
There you go. The more you know. Hopefully it's good. Gives you guys a good reputation there. But we're excited to get to know you a little bit better. Could we kind of start there? Maybe give us your your background, how you got into privacy, and then we'll jump into Railgun.
Yeah. So I'm Alan, of course. You guys met. You can see I'm the janitor around these parts. I've been contributing to Railgun now for right at 6 years, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
I guess I originally got into privacy just from being active in a lot of random trading groups on Telegram. I had a random stranger who basically asked me how I got into shitcoin X. And I thought it was really weird because I hadn't really talked about it. You guys trade, right?
Oh yeah.
It's fill then chill, right? And I had not completely filled my bags, and so I was a little confused as to how this dude knew who I was on chain, right? And he sent me my Etherscan link. He's like, "That's you, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, well,
Random
that's
guy.
me." And so it was like, you own the token, which allows you to get into this token gated community. You've talked about this, that, and whatever. It's the only wallet with that token in there, so it has to be you, right? And he sort of walked me through how he heuristically had identified me and other people in the group, and I thought that was insane. And it sort of sent me down this path to look for privacy solutions. It was kind of like my sort of awakening, if you will. Most people kind of have a couple of awakenings in crypto. First one probably is something like trading crypto on a centralized exchange, and then somebody says, "Yo, bro, not your keys, not your crypto," right? And you should use MetaMask or something like that, right? And they hold their own crypto. And then I guess I had a secondary one where it was like, "Hey man, I'm following you on Etherscan." And it was a really weird moment.
It's funny. That's I know it to be so true because back when I was on EVM, man, the amount of work I would go through to find wallets, and if you would, if you were a KOL or something on the timeline, and you would talk about one token, talk about another token, talk about 3 tokens, I would find whatever wallet's holding all 3 tokens, backtrack the times. If each time was purchased around that time, I would, very easily identify the wallet to the person, and it was very easy for me to front run, of course, their tweets and use all their followers as exit liquidity. It is what it is.
You brought it up earlier, and I guess the lead up conversation. I think that AI is going to make that kind of stuff much worse.
Surely,
or at least easier. You can just let the people listening decide if it's a bad or a good thing. And I think it's a bad thing.
Oh sure you do. Okay, you're not into privacy or anything.
Yeah. I don't think it's good at all. But yeah.
Well, talk on that. How does, because we saw, AI might be using DeFi on the exploit side, but on the privacy side, what is the major, we're surface leveling it now, but is it that Mythos is going to crawl the internet and the blockchain and just find out ways to trade everyone's stuff? How does this manifest itself?
Yeah, man. I tell you, the best experiment anybody could do would be to take an ENS and look it up on Google right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you go and you type in Vitalik.eth, right? It'll be like, this ENS is attached to this 0x address and is notably owned by Vitalik Buterin, right? And it'll go through his whole spiel, right? Who Vitalik is. And I think that's going to be the rinse, rhyme, repeat for everybody who has an ENS, right? I think that's going to be the norm, right? All that data is going to be collected, collated, and sold. And I think that data brokers and analytics companies are going to love how much easier it's going to be. You know, it used to be back in the day, whenever we wanted to get somebody's information, it was really kind of difficult. And then, you know, in the 90s, it got a little bit easier. There's a great book called Privacy for Sale. You guys can check it out. I think it came out in like maybe 94 or something like that. And it was about a guy who went around and figured out what it was like to get people's information then. And it's only gotten easier. And we just do a terrible job at protecting our information. And yeah, I think it's going to go exactly how you said, right? AI will be able to synthesize that information at a speed that we've never experienced before. And whether that's a good or a bad thing, I think it's up to personal preference. I mean,
did you have an ENS domain?
Do I? God, no.
Yeah. So did you see, because ENS is not a new thing. This has happened years ago, but at the time it was pretty cool. It was like novel. Well, this is really exciting. Going same with NFTs, right? Because they were unique, tokens that were in a wallet. Yeah. Well, it's also on your Twitter, LinkedIn profile. So how did you, like for all I would say most people, fair amount of people either had one of those two combinations. What do you do if you're kind of in that spot?
Man, I think,
or are you just like you're toast?
You roasted. It's game over. Tap out. Sell everything. No, I think that so when it comes to on-chain privacy, the best thing you can do is to try to really think about how it is you're using your wallets, right? If you've already been doxxed, it's kind of like a start over kind of thing. And so things like Railgun support NFTs. You can hold ENS, things like this, right? The list goes on. Arbitrary what you hold in those private 0zk addresses. And so I think that really is probably where you get that privacy genesis, is by using things like Railgun, or like the common centralized exchange mixers, right? So people who take and just put all their money back into, I don't know, OKX or whatever.
So I guess I kind of want to go back to the original mantra of crypto, right? What Satoshi maybe brought us. On one hand, the blockchain is a transparent ledger that everyone can see. On the other hand, crypto embodies this ethos of the cypherpunk and the anonymity and decentralized access to everybody. Where does something like Railgun kind of lie in the mix of that? Do you think that the transparency crypto provides is valuable, but at the same time, no one wants their bank account information to be out there on what they're spending? Why is privacy important in your eyes?
I would question whether or not transparency was really one of the end goals. I think that if you go and you read the Bitcoin white paper, what I got from it was that centralized entities and banks in particular shouldn't be trusted. Right. And they are of risk and they aren't looking out for your best interest. They're looking out for theirs. Right. And so you have this sort of moral hazard where it comes with this very important part of your life, your money. I don't know about you guys, but I need money to survive. I'm not independently wealthy. I've not made it.
You don't live off the land over there in Japan?
Yeah, not yet, man. Well Alerts is not talking about me. It's so I think that the disintermediation and trustlessness is what's so cool about crypto, and that's where the ethos was, right? Is that we could disintermediate and move to a more peer-to-peer ecosystem, and we could have a sort of technological solution to that, right? Where we can develop this architecture that is very beautiful and allows us to transact in a peer-to-peer and trustless fashion. We don't have to trust people. We can have great, finality in a ledger that is enforced by a decentralized consensus. And that's what it was about, right? I think that the transparency thing sort of came later, where people started harping on that. And I think that that's actually a really beautiful part of crypto, right? One of the cool things that I got really excited about whenever I started really investigating what crypto was about in my early years was I could go and I could look at Uniswap, right? On chain, right? So I can go and I could see an AMM. I can verify that the tokens that I want are in that contract. And whenever I execute against them, like I know what I'm going to get. Right. And that was really, really cool. Right. So I can see that Aave is healthy. Right. The list sort of goes on. Right. If I think that a protocol has a certain LTV, loan to value, I can go and I can do that math. Right. I can see that on chain.
Yeah.
Right. I can audit it. Right. It's verifiable. Right. I don't have to trust somebody. I can go and see. And I think that was really, really cool because I spent a lot of time looking at things like 10K statements and things like that, pretending like I was the next Warren Buffett or something. It turns out I wasn't, unfortunately. But you had like this ability to look like immediately on chain and know things. I thought that was really, really cool. But I think that doesn't extend immediately over to like individuals, balances, or at least it shouldn't. And that's where Railgun sits, right? It's not really designed to sort of strip away your ability to do that like third-party verification of decentralized applications. But what it's designed to do instead is give you actor blinding, right? So being able to have that private balance, which is completely normal in like the finance world. You guys both sound super American, or at least somewhere in the Americas. Is that fair to say?
British.
Yeah. No.
Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
Orlando and Toronto.
Close
out the window.
I'm out of here. Go to bed.
No, yeah, you're spot on.
But like, suffice it to say, like most payment applications that people use, Zelle or Cash App or PayPal. Stop me when I hit the one you guys like. These things are blind, right? So if I pay you on PayPal or Cash App or Zelle or whatever it might be, you can see the balance, right? You get money, right? I remember with like Cash App, you could like leave like notes for people. You know what I mean? So I would like, if I ever like split beers with the bros, it'd be like, thanks for mowing my lawn, bro.
Right. Something just heinous that's not at all related to what you paid for.
yeah. Thanks for the drugs. But you still have like that wallet blinding, right? And that's kind of what Railgun is designed to do, right? Is to give you that actor privacy back. It isn't for really anything else.
And why is Railgun at the protocol level rather than like the blockchain level? And why is that valuable?
That's a tough question. I feel like if there was like a really cool Railgun EIP, it's funny, we were just talking about this, a couple of Railgun researchers and I was like, what if there was a Railgun EIP? How would you feel? Like what if somebody said like, enshrine it? what would you do? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that what ends up happening with cryptography, right? Privacy tech, right? Cryptography in general is that it's an arms race. And what happens when you enshrine things is that it sort of ossifies and stagnates that research pretty aggressively. And so I think what's really cool at the app layer is you sort of have like this constant iterative practice, right? What Aave version are we on now? Is it 4? Have we made it to 4 yet?
No idea.
Yeah,
probably.
I think it's 4 now. I don't know. Somebody will quote me, tell me I'm wrong on Twitter. I'll watch
with a corporate private side experiment on top.
Yeah. I guess if you count like Aave Arc, it's like V5, right?
Yeah.
Somebody at me on that one. But suffice it to say, right, there's this iteration that happens on the app level that I don't really think you get when things are enshrined. Case in point in ZK is like the Poseidon precompiles, right? There's sort of like people are talking about this, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But with EIP 196, 197, you have this thing for like alt BLN precompiles, and that's sort of like ossified exactly how people were going to do ZK stuff on chain.
So how do you
it hasn't really iterated beyond that?
How do you feel about Ethereum kind of shrinking down the ETH and really focusing on like Tom Lee has a privacy business that now BMNR is actually going and actively supporting that research. And it looks like it's a for-profit kind of like, entity that's incentivized to go out, acquire customers, build good tech, implement it into customer deployments, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like what you're saying is true because the protocol level innovation kind of stagnated, whereas the app layer, there's, you know, companies and people that are incentivized to go out and do these things.
Yeah, well, I want the L1 to move slow, right? Frankly, I don't know, that sounds crazy, but I think that like if it iterates too quickly, you know, shit blows up, right? And so you kind of want like a lot of like tug and pull and debate at that like end, like that's like the end security level, right? If we think about that as like kernel, right? That's as low as you can get, right? That's layer 0. And if something goes wrong there, you're cooked. You know, it's really bad. Your money be worthless if Ethereum is wrecked at the protocol level. And so like people should appreciate that, you know, our wizards and mathematicians are really strongly debating these things and moving quite slowly. You know, on the EF, I mean, I guess I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I mean, from my perspective, I think it's refreshing to see that the EF and like, you know, the core stewards, if you will, of the ecosystem are so heavily focused on like product and like what that means. You know, so you're seeing, you know, EIPs that are coming along that should help a lot with, you know, product.
Yeah, and so ETH Systems is what they stood up, building compliance and privacy tech, allowing regulated financial institutions to execute transactions on Ethereum. There's this data confidentially designed to prevent trade details and client identities from being publicly exposed on chain while satisfying regulatory standards. So, I mean, I guess they're in some ways they're doing privacy, but it looks like it's very, again, client institutional focus.
Isn't that the thing that's didn't this dude spin out of the it's like the IP, it was like the International Privacy or Task Force or something like that. It was the IPTF team like took in I think they were getting grants from the EF and then they took and said, hey,
there's some guys from EF that went and did this. Basically, they left, but it's set up as a for-profit, like, you know, commercial entity rather than a
great. Yeah. Get that bread. Whatever, you know. I think that's fine, you know. Profit's not I'm a red-blooded capitalist at the end of the day. Let me just cut straight to
speaking to two other red-blooded capitalists.
Let's go, man. We can make that money. With that said, like I kind of want to get an idea of, you know, how Railgun stacks up to maybe competitors, because we see a lot of people trying to iterate in this privacy space. And I think a big question here I'd like to have answered is like, why is Railgun maybe a better solution than, you know, many of the other ones we see kind of spinning up and popping off? We even had a question from Duck Squad about XMR. I don't want to dig too much into it because I want to keep this Railgun focused, but real quick, I guess we'll just get your quick take on it while we have it pulled up. Duck Squad says big XMR maxi here. Just curious in Alan's view in XMR, specifically his opinion on both and if he thinks privacy pools versus always on privacy is the gold standard.
I think that they're certainly not mutually exclusive, right? And I think that's sort of like a bit of a miss to believe that they are. First of all, I like XMR, right? I think Monero's cool. I like their vibe. It's really aggressive in all the right ways, perhaps. I think that Monero is really cool. You know, personally, it's not something that I use. You know, I'm a big Ethereum nerd, right? So I think that XMR existing doesn't mean that like people shouldn't work towards making privacy solutions for Ethereum, right? You know, so pragmatically speaking, that's the space that I focus on. And so, and how does Railgun stack against other privacy protocols? I mean, the devil's really in the details on a lot of this stuff, right? Railgun's been around for quite some time, and it's been like a school of hard knocks. You know, I remember whenever the protocol was just getting started, people were like, "Oh man, oh cool, another tornado fork." Which was really annoying because like it was all like new ground up code. Like it was all new research. People were doing new stuff. And like the way that Railgun was architected was really sort of very, very intentional, right? The goal for the protocol was to be like this address standard, right? The 0zk address where you can do anything you could do with a public address, but in like the private domain. And I thought that was really neat. And that's a really complicated thing to accomplish. Like that's not a very easy feat. You're basically taking this UTXO environment, shoehorning it into Ethereum, and then like trying to figure out a way to do like cross contract calls in a weird and growing DeFi environment. And that's been like a forever moving target. I mean, back in 2021, DeFi was really simple, right? It was super simple. It was like approve tokens for spending, do thing with token, get the receipt. And that was it. end of transaction. But now it's a lot more complicated. We have like RFQ, cross chain swaps, and like weird lending aggregation. I don't know. Like people are doing all sorts of cool stuff now. So it's like a weird moving target that's like constantly evolving. And luckily the protocol has been architected in such a way that it's like able to do that kind of stuff even now that DeFi is growing. And I think that's going to be a really continually tough thing that requires a lot of research going forward. It's certainly not a settled debate. I don't think it's like Railgun's won and it's over. Like I think it's going to be something that's continually, iterated even over the next probably decade, if I'm being honest.
And can you talk me through some of Railgun's offerings, or like the product suite, what you guys are working towards, maybe current focus?
Yeah, so the big thing that's been focused right now by people who are researching Railgun is there's a new like stealth account kind of like standard, which actually just got dropped in the repo today. So like,
do you have here? I'll find a post.
So everybody is like, just super excited about this new stealth account thing. Hold on, let me see if I can find it for you guys while I'm talking, because it's really sick. Here, how about this? Copy this. This is for the nerds. I'll show this to you guys. I don't know however you guys want to huck that out there in the world, but there's a sick new repo. You guys should check it out. It's a new relay adapt structure based on 7702, and what it does is it allows users to like spin up new stealth accounts that basically satellite their private 0zk address, and this should unlock a bunch of really cool new ways to do DeFi with Railgun. So, we've been testing out different recipes with things like Morpho, Aave, trying to do like lending and this sort of stuff. I think that's probably going to be the interesting bit through the end of the year, right? Is what are the new cool things that wallet providers are going to integrate thanks to this new sort of architecture for Railgun. We've been working on this really cool clear signing mechanism for the Ledger application that's been developed around Railgun. So we have like not only hardware support, but like true like clear signing support as well. So it's been a big focus on DeFi and security, I guess, is the boring TLDR.
What's end game? I mean, grand vision, end goal here. I guess if Railgun's at its final state for you guys, and of course, like you said, moving target, ever evolving. But like generally, what does the end state look like for Railgun?
Railgun EIP. I think I think that end state is it's proliferated out to a lot more chains. Who knows? Maybe it goes to Base, Robinhood, all sorts of cool places like that, wherever the trendy place might be. And it's in a lot of different wallets, right? I think that it's my preferred end game is probably something along the lines of what browsers look like now, right? That the S is like presumed at the end of the HTTP, right? That there's privacy on all fronts, and it's like kind of baked in, and people are using it, and they don't actually appreciate that they're using it. They don't understand SSL. They don't understand what that S means at the end of HTTP. They just have it. And it's working.
This has been my big gripe around privacy is we've been talking about it. I mean, I've owned Ethereum since 2015. We've been talking about it for a decade plus, but it feels like it's just, if you're doing a Uniswap transaction today with MetaMask and you don't know what you're doing, privacy isn't baked into that. It's not like a toggle I just had. And I'm like, why? Why not? Right.
Here's a fun thought experiment for you guys. This will be a fun way to think about this stuff. It's a different framing, right? I think a lot of people in crypto or like in modern tech are like sort of brainwashed by like I don't know, big tech VC world or whatever, where it's like, dude, we're gonna get to mass market in 6 weeks. We're gonna have 6 trillion users by tomorrow, and things are gonna be fucking sick, bro. Right? We're gonna justify this $10 billion valuation in 6 days. Don't worry about it, right? But I think that the market moves much slower than that, man. I think like in history shows us There's a great example actually when it comes to like encryption, right? In fact, SSL was originally invented in I think it was 1994 by Netscape. I don't know. Are you guys old enough to know about Netscape? I feel like I've got real energy right now.
I mean, I'm a millennial. Dom's a little younger, but
okay, so you're with me. You're here with me. Okay.
I'm
You're
Halo
what?
2, Halo 3. That's how we're with Buddha in the previous segment. We were saying Dom is Fortnite. Dom is Fortnite.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
That's hyperbolic, dude. I'm not Fortnite, but a little bit.
It's just playing Roblox over here. Look out.
Yeah.
He's not Roblox. He's Fortnite. He's Fortnite.
No, okay. So yeah, but anyway, SSL, 1994. Okay. Fast forward 10 years into 2004, right? What do you think the adoption of SSL was? Like in percentages. Stab in the dark. Let's have some fun here.
5%, 10%.
Yeah, that's a great guess. That's about where it was.
Yeah. Well,
It was abysmal, right? No one was using it. It was absolutely terrible. In fact, by the time I think we went to like 2011, it was at like 15%. Now you fast forward to today, and it's something like 95% of websites here in 2026 have that little S at the end, right? And it's like implicit, right? So what was that adoption cycle? Right?
It's slow, right? Yeah, took time.
It was super.
But did people have to get like hacked through websites to then be like, oh, I only want to go to websites with this on? Like now it seems
no, it's worse than that. They would go anyway. They're gonna keep doing it. That's the problem people don't appreciate about mid-curve, right? Is that mid-curve is like Jerry Springer, people who are on Jerry Springer. Right, I'm using all the fucking references right now. Jerry Springer's not even a thing.
That's like
Jerry Springer's a legend, though.
But suffice it to say, right, that's like where mid-curve is, right? So they're just going to go to the website regardless, right? It doesn't matter if it's private, if it has like information leaked, they're going to do it. This is just a thing, right? But like, yeah, the inflection point, as Zion has put in the comments there, is that like commerce moved online. That was a big shift, right? And it moved online in a big way. Right. And people put credit card information in on their website and it not being encrypted sort of, made people realize that like not having encryption was a bad thing. Right. And so like money got in the way. Right. And that's what's going to happen in crypto. Right. History is it's not going to repeat itself, but it's going to rhyme. Right. A big money is going to come along and it's going to want privacy. It already knows it needs it. It's needed for a bunch of different reasons, whether it's like competitive angles, like you're trying not to dox your trading strategy, or if you're trying to remain compliant with like payroll and like non-public information requirements for like transfers of assets to your employees. The list kind of goes on, right? So history is going to have that kind of like weird rhyme. Like that's what it's going to take. But I think people underappreciate like how long these adoption cycles happen. I mean, there's so many examples of like super long adoption cycles. First credit card was in 1950.
But I just want to download MetaMask and just have it in there, though, right? Like this, when I visit a website, you're not like, oh, I'm not visiting it. I'm using the S on my HTTPS. No, you're just like using the website. Why when I go to MetaMask,
fact, browsers today even say like warning, right? If you're on Chrome, warning, they don't have a valid SSL certificate.
I get it, but I'm just like, why shouldn't should it not just be in the wallet? Right?
I agree, right? So that's what Railgun's built to do, right? That's what we're doing here, right? It's like Railgun suite of smart contracts, and then there's like these really cool SDKs which abstracts all of that stuff away and makes it easy for wallet providers to integrate this stuff, right? So there's you can see like here, this dude's he's pulling up all the good stuff, right? There's
whoever our engineer is back there, this guy's got to be happy.
We're a bootstrap show here.
But there's like terminal wallet. The list goes on, right? There's Rail Oxide now. Kohaku is building a Railgun integrated SDK, and ultimately that'll be Ambire wallet. So the list kind of goes on, right? I think that's where it goes. And Josh, you're sort of like bemoanings are what's forcing the market to sort of like go that way. We all know it's kind of like inherently necessary. It just takes time to do this kind of stuff. It was really complicated. Like Railgun was really hard. If you looked at it like in 2021, like when the beta contracts were out and like people were using like old school railgun, like it was janky at best, right? It's just humbling to say, it's true. And I think that I think now it's light years ahead. And when I think about like what it's going to look like in 2030, like it's going to be crazy, right? And I think it will go there, right? And we see like these browsers that are coming along. I forget the name of it, but there's like, there's like crypto native browsers and things like this,
like Brave browser.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Brave's been
people
around for years, but yeah, there are more integrated products.
So I guess like to follow on from this as well, like, how do we go from where we're at today? Maybe that 15% is the example in 2004 or whatever, or 2010 to 98% or whatever it is today. How do we hit critical mass? How does this become the standard? I think is what we're looking for. Does Kohaku get us there? Like in your mind, what gets us there?
It's a lot of stuff, right? I think we're at the beginning. We look at it, if we look at it in the percentages, right? Railgun transactions in terms of daily DeFi volume is something like 0.4% of daily DeFi volume. Okay. And in spite of that, I mean, like Railgun, I think Railgun Treasury prints like $4 or $5 million, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here I
digress. I digress. We're talking about mass adoption here, not finance. right there. 4.7. That's what it was. Sorry, I was looking at what you guys showed. I was trying to pull that back. But yeah, suffice it to say, so we're at like super nascent stage for this stuff, right? And we have like the early nerds who are saying like, hey, this is needed, right? I think you guys are part of the early gang. You know what I mean? Like we barely have made it onto the hockey stick. We're not even ready for the elbow walk up the stick, right? And so I think that things like Kohaku, the ever iterative easiness to integrate is what happens. It's the same play as SSL, right? Like there was a Let's Encrypt, I believe it was back in the day, which made it really easy to do SSL for your websites. And so like, over time, maybe Kohaku's like that. Let's encrypt for crypto.
So how does Railgun make money? Like, you're taking fees on privacy? I've never used Railgun personally. I've known about them for ages, but
oh man, we're gonna make you a user yet, man. You gotta go. Yeah, it takes 25 basis points of a shielder in Unshield, and that goes to the treasury that's controlled by the security stakers.
And I think if I'm not incorrect on this, there is some sort of value accrual to the Railgun token. Is it there was a breakdown? Maybe I'll just let you break it down. But what does the value accrual to the token look like?
Yeah. So the treasury just collects 25 bips of whatever is getting transacted, right? So if you're transacting Fartcoin, it takes Fartcoin. If you're transacting ETH, it takes ETH. And it sort of like builds this like really big multifarious balance of tokens. It's really kind of interesting and like simple in that way that it's like collecting a portfolio of like the most transacted tokens, right? It's kind of like a microcosm of like what's cool in crypto, which, spoiler alert, is stablecoins. It's a ton of stablecoins, man. People like transacting stablecoins. Like that's the deep value of crypto right now. That's the mass market use case. And those tokens, what ends up happening, right, is the treasury slices off. Now it was 2%, but now it's 4.2% of that treasury every 2 weeks, and slides it off into a rewards contract that then people who are staking the Rail token into the security reviewer kind of like staking contract will get these rewards. And what people who are staking are doing is they're taking and reviewing the governance submissions that are happening. Maybe people have like some security proposal. In fact, there's one live, right? So if you're like staking Rail, you should go look at your favorite governance portal and vote. But yeah, it takes 4.2% of the treasury, slides it into a rewards contract every 2 weeks, and that's claimable by people who are staking. And that adds up to be a pretty sizable amount of tokens.
Love it. I mean, while we're talking about metrics here, maybe walk us through some of the numbers you're seeing. There was a great article, which I have pulled up right here on the screen, just from Masari, or I guess now Blockworks, former Masari, now Blockworks, broke down some of the revenues and numbers. Can you maybe talk us through some of these and how you're seeing them, and how you're seeing growth, how we, I don't know, continue to scale this thing?
Yeah, so I think like the thing that let's take a look at this stuff. Sick. Yeah, 5.25. Okay, so these are old numbers already. I think the protocol's at like 5.5 billion. And it does something like $1 million and change a quarter in treasury accumulation, which is sick. Wow. And since the ratchet from 2 to 4.2% of the treasury every 2 weeks, that staking yield. I don't give like cool financial advice. I'm not I don't have a Series 8 or anything, guys. Not financial advice is what I'm trying to get at. It's probably higher at this exact moment. Anyway, the metric that I like to look at, though, personally, is the nullifier state growth.
Nullifier state growth. Wow.
Yeah, which is kind of like my favorite thing to look at, right? Because what it shows you is like how much of the contract is getting used, right? So you see like the nullifiers growing, right? So the more that nullifiers grow and the quicker those grow, you can kind of intuit.
Really quick, what's a nullifier?
A nullifier. Great question. So in this sort of system, one of the things you got to fear is double spending, right? So someone being able to spend a note more than one time. And basically what ends up happening whenever you spend a note, you use the nullifier, right? And you're no longer able to reuse that note on the Merkle tree. So basically people spending those nullifiers, right? Every time you make a new note, you generate a new nullifier. So the spending of these nullifiers means that more and more people are spending nullifiers. Now, publicly, I should know, I can see you're having a moment. These nullifiers all look the same to the outside viewer. So you can't tell who's spending what. No, you just see the nullifiers executed. So yeah. So I think that's really cool. I like counting the Merkle trees. We're on the 4th Merkle tree on Ethereum, which is really cool. The first Merkle tree, which was 2 to the 16th, however high that is, I think it's like 64,000 commitments or something like that, took like 18 months to fill. Right. The second one took like 9 months or something like that, and now it's on pace to fill a tree like every 4 months. I mean, it's pretty quick, and so you kind of see like it's moving quicker and quicker and quicker, and those are like, to me, like the truest healthy signs of growth. The challenge when you look at like notional value in dollars of like treasury growth, TVL, and this sort of thing, is that. I don't know about your guys' bags, but over the last like year, my shit's in half.
You're doing good, I think. Compared to majority.
Half is that's decent.
Optimistic, right? I'm trying to be.
Yeah, right. It's half. It's just 99%.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, like I don't really pay attention to like notional value too much because it's constantly in flux. You know, I mean, I think ETH is up today, right?
Yeah.
You know, bullish. We're gonna get over 2K. Is it over 2K?
Speaking of that, actually, Crypto Jones, not a financial advice question, but just curious of what you like in the market. He says what you hodl, but
what do I hodl? Let's look.
Yeah, like I mean, assuming you have some Ethereum, so we'll check that off. Assuming you have some Rail, so we'll check that off.
Also, I want to ask generally, I guess, in this line of questioning too. You know, you mentioned expansion to Robinhood, Base. Do we get outside of EVM ever? You know, do we get into Solana? Do we get into other chains, or is that not a priority?
I think like the whole like, I mean, is Cosmosm like a thing still, or is like Cosmos like
Cosmos is not a thing?
Not really.
I'm in my prime, you know. Like, what about Polkadot? Is Polkadot still a thing?
Polkadot
I would
is not
say
a thing.
whatever's going to come to
Gavin
your mind is probably not a thing.
Not a thing. Are these your tokens that you own?
Dude, I went on a polka run back in the day. I was polka crazy.
2020?
Hell
there
yeah,
was a
dude.
dot. There's a dot
listen,
theme. There was a dot run for sure. What else? Come on, hit us with a couple other tokens that you like.
Dude, I was on what was it? There was like base and then rebase, like the old school like rebase tokens. I think they had like on their website. It was like seamless yield or something like that. But I mean, what am I looking at nowadays, man? I'm paying attention to it's like the classic
Uni.
decks.
Are you
Well,
happy
I still
about
like
Uni?
Bitcoin. I have ETH. I got a smattering of fucking NFTs that maybe will eventually, come into, cool again.
Any punks or apes or anything like that?
Nah, I'm not really. I wish I was rich. I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm on the satellite. Not so cool.
Daddy
NFTs.
Duster's Max Long Matic Polygon. Oh.
Yeah, right.
And,
What about Parachain?
Pivx. Oh my, that is the
Yeah.
old school one. Sorry,
Hell yeah.
Parachain. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, like I follow the privacy space, a good bit. I'm bullish Graham. I feel like Graham is going to be.
Josh likes that trade.
Graham is decent.
It's hard to bet about what's his name, Parvel. What's the CEO's name?
Pavel.
Pavel.
Yeah, I mean he is a beast, and he's
Parvel.
big on the. Okay, dude. He's big on the privacy thing. I mean, he got cracked down pretty hard by some local legislation, and he's unwilling to sell out his people.
Yeah. I mean, the boring answer though is that I don't hodl much, man. I was very much so a shitcoin trader. I was very into musical chairs, and if you're not paying attention to the market like that for like swapping,
you're cooked. What about Solana? Did you ever trade on Solana at all? And
I missed that. There's a couple of things where like I feel like I was right and not paid. Is what ended up happening. A lot of throughout my career, this is a quote. Would you rather be right or paid?
Right.
And sometimes those are like mutually exclusive. And
those
my
are very mutually exclusive.
And my opinions of Solana caused me to not get paid.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I was such an EVM nerd. It was the same thing with like NFTs. I was like, dude, that's dumb. Meanwhile, people were just printing cash. Yeah. Famously, back in my day, I had a bet with a friend of mine, and he bet me that Tesla would outsell Toyota. He made this bet with me. He's like, dude, I live in Japan, right? And he's like, yeah, Tesla's going to outsell Toyota, right? And I was like, man, no way. And I bet him like a bottle of whiskey, right? And it was a pretty expensive bottle of whiskey. And I won the bet. But he made millions of dollars on Tesla stock. So,
yeah. Did he get that whiskey?
This is what happens to me over the years, right? So I'm not.
And funny, Crypto Jones says he was saying Maru was asking if you're from Japan, and Crypto Jones says no, he's in Detroit, just a fan of the aesthetic. So Maru, he is in Japan. Alan's in Japan.
Yeah. Well, I had to import all this stuff. I'm in Kansas City.
Yeah, right. Imported. Maybe we kind of wrap on this thought here. Like what's next for Railgun? You guys are obviously working. The researchers are working hard, heads down. You guys are like directionally, obviously directionally correct. What's next for Railgun? And like when I think about privacy on a broader scope here, how does Railgun, really corner the market and become the dominant player in all of privacy? Of course, like from a revenue perspective, some could say you're already there, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I think that like the people who research Railgun are mission driven, right? I want privacy to succeed in this space because I care about crypto, and I think that it's a true keystone for it to be like good, let alone adopted. And so whether it's Railgun that takes off or like some other privacy thing that takes off or like something gets enshrined on the L1 or like a new L1 comes along and it's privacy forward, like I think all that research is great. So like to the guy earlier, I think Monero is cool. I think Zcash is cool. I think what Zama is doing is cool. I think privacy pools is great. The more people who are building privacy stuff, the better, right? If you're in a vertical by yourself, you're probably in the wrong vertical, right? You're probably building the wrong shit. Like if you're the only one doing it, it might, you might be right, or you're probably just not going to make it. And so I think that the more the merrier on that, right? That's my thought of like end game. Something makes it, right? I want something to have survived and been successful. And I think that Railgun is probably striking that great balance, right? Where we still have that auditability of crypto, right? We can look at Aave, verify the TVL, see that liquidations are happening in an appropriate way, but you don't have to have like purview over people's balance, right? And I think that that's the very happy, nice blend that is going to be the successful thing, or at least that's what I want in crypto. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think over the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see some really cool integrations. There's a lot of conversations happening with wallet builders and trying to support their integrations of Railgun. There's a new sick wallet. I think the guy was on with you guys last month or something like that. Anon, right?
Yep.
Sick. Such a sick wallet. It's so cool.
Yep.
He's in the process, I think, of shipping a mobile wallet, which is dope. I mean, a privacy forward mobile wallet. I mean, that's really sick. And yeah, that's where you're going to see us in the trenches, which is trying to support people who are working on integrating Railgun, making sure those SDKs work super well for people who are doing that, listening, and try to recursively feedback that into that SDK so it becomes really, really easy. And yeah.
All right, Joseph Lubin, get it in MetaMask.
Win consensus.
Yeah, we want it. All right, we gotta start wrapping here. I just want to end. Robinhood chain is probably kind of the most interesting thing. Also, we want really quick V4 hooks. We want to ask about that. But Robinhood chain, what do you think of it? Good for the space. And then these V4 hooks we're seeing on mainnet now. Launch pads are starting to pop up with, you can kind of configure launches, and maybe it brings meme coins to mainnet. But I don't know, thoughts on some of these things?
Oh man, I think I always like new novel. So on V4 hooks, easy, right? I like new novel ways to raise money. I think that's cool, right? The democratization of that stuff is really great. And what is I think that the easier we can make that, the better, right? Because far too long that has been captive to the hyper wealthy, and so the more that crypto makes that easier for people to do, go for it. You know what I mean? I'm not a qualified investor. You know what I mean? Or an accredited investor, I think is what I was looking for. It's 3 a.m. You have to forgive me. I think accredited investor rules are a bit of the devil and go against the average man.
Terrible.
In terms of Robinhood chain, I've not used it, man. Should I?
Yes.
If you're into RWAs, I would say so. I think they probably are one of the fastest horses in bringing real world assets and stocks, democratizing that access. So
I think that's sick. Yeah.
Well, there's cool experiments where they're taking meme coins. So it's AI token meme coin, but the quote pair in the pool is NVIDIA's stock. And so it kind of gives you the upside of the underlying equities, which are real companies, versus, the upside. Well, recently it's been downside of things like Ethereum and Sol. But these are real interesting experiments that have A, fit with Robinhood's narrative, but B, have also taken off. And, it was 60% of Robinhood's RWA volume was through these kind of, meme paired tokenized equity things.
That's so amazing. I wonder what the SEC feels about that.
Well, Robinhood, I will say Vlad is doing a lot when it comes to, working greasing the gears of the SEC and, I don't know. He's doing a lot of work.
But the SEC loves this kind of stuff. I mean, they talk about it all the time.
Well, I think isn't
their press
Citadel making a
releases
move
that this is
into
gonna
crypto
happen.
as well, right?
Say again?
Isn't Citadel making a move into crypto?
Yeah.
And so they were the market maker, right? They paid for order flow out of Robinhood. So it's all coming together, right?
There you go.
TradFi's coming, man. Here we go.
Yay.
All right.
I think it's cool, man. The more the merrier, right? I mean, base chain's sick, Robinhood sick, the more attention this kind of stuff sees, it's probably the better.
Well, Alan, we want to get you to sleep so you can dream about Railgun and privacy, as I'm sure you do. So we appreciate you coming on today and chatting with us.
Yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this. For people listening, if you want to know more about Railgun, the Railgun Twitter is really cool. Don't follow me. I'm not that cool. I don't post too much. There's a Telegram group. There's a Church of Railgun where people hang out. If you like to build privacy stuff, it's pretty cool and decentralized. So if you want to contribute to the protocol, do so. Again, thanks for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Here it is right here, Railgun Janitor. All right.
He also has a VR headset, so you want to meet him in the metaverse. I'm sure he'll do that as well. I don't know.
Nah, that's for my. I have a racing sim, so.
Yeah, look at that.
There you go.
Right, the racing setup's crazy. All right. Well, we appreciate you, Alan. Talk to you.
Yeah, Alan.
All right. That was a cool conversation. Cool
Yeah,
conversation.
man. Honestly, that's an OG conversation.
It is. It is. Yeah. I mean, look, privacy. I just like privacy is undeniable. It's just a question of who and when. Who and when is that railgun? The railgun numbers are by far the best, right? So no debate there. And I do think the protocol level privacy is a cool narrative. So
Guys, we really want to shout out Meteor for making the show possible. Thank you, Crypto Jones, for prompting that. You can go provide liquidity on Meteor DLM with meteor.ag. Use the ref code MCG. Go stake your MET tokens. Dom, I don't know if we pull up a MET chart, but I believe things are looking bottomy. I mean, we see Uniswap doing quite well, but how's Meteor doing?
well, sure, I can absolutely pull up a Meteor chart. Meteor is looking pretty good. You know, it's holding up this 90 million range very nicely. Of course, I mean, obviously bottom ticked. Meteor, notoriously, this tweet came out right here. But Meteor
Like
looks great. Yeah,
literally,
I would say. Well, I mean, yeah, it was what fueled the
literally
entire
right
pump.
there. Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Obviously, that was the thesis that did it. But yeah, chart looks great. Clearly looking like it's pretty bottomy. We know their numbers are really good. I think they're doing 40 million, roughly 40 million or 30, yeah, 38, 40 million annualized right now, while the token's trading in 90 million market cap. So yeah, the chart from a chart perspective looks really good, holding up beautifully.
Let's say you're an ETH OG holder. You've never used Solana, like Alan has never used Solana, missed the whole Solana move. Do you see relative value on Solana, things like Meteor versus things on, EVM chains?
Do I see relatively? I mean, I'm not going to full stack out everything Solana, but I am positioning a lot into EVM right now. Like Uniswap's definitely, I think, a really good trade right now. I think having some Ethereum right now is probably really smart. I'm not sure if that's answering the question exactly.
No,
but
my question is more like, what if you're going the other way? What if you have not used Solana and have no Solana exposure? You've been an EVM nerd for your entire time. Like, do you think relatively Meteor is undervalued compared to something like Uniswap?
Oh well, absolutely. I mean, if you just go on a price to earnings basis, the only difference is Uniswap does have the fee switch, which Meteor does not have. Now, Meteor has done buybacks, but I think they bought back 3.8% of supply, 3.4% of supply, roughly 17, $18 million in buybacks. But they don't have the programmatic buybacks or any kind of mechanism there. So I would say, yeah, generally, if you're investing, if you're a noob to Solana, you're looking to invest, Meteor is a great bet. Not financial advice, of course, but yeah, you're buying the infrastructure here. Again, Meteor is going to get a lot of the underlying liquidity flowing through, the large majority of liquidity is going to flow through Meteor, and that volume is going to go through them. So if you have a bet on Solana, Meteor is definitely a bet on the broader ecosystem and liquidity flowing into it and volume flowing into it. So yeah, that's why I like Meteor. It's bet on the infrastructure, right? Picks and shovels. Picks and shovels. With that said, Pump's also, Pump's looking really good. Again, and another one we bottom ticked. And we're not throwing out calls here every day. This is like we're pinpointing a few, and they've all really aged nicely. Pump Fund's looking really great. Again, leading revenue generator down here in this range. It was a 1-to-3 price to earnings ratio, and they are doing 50% buybacks programmatically. So Pump continues to look good. Again, right? What's the for both Meteor and Pump Fund? What's the danger zone here? Is if volume just starts, if retail volume and attention just stops flowing to Solana and it goes to something like a Robinhood, right? Pump Fund will dominate as long as Solana dominates. Meteor will dominate as long as Solana dominates, at least on a shorter time frame here. The biggest fear or scare would be, does someone else start seeing a lot of those volumes, or does it stick to Solana? I don't think it's actually a big, like, I don't think we're ever going to see Solana not be the leading retail app, other than like for pockets of time. But yeah, so Pump's looking really good. Cards, we had Collector Krypton today, of course. It is up very nicely. And of course, came down into a beautiful accumulation zone. They have $45 million of inventory, I believe, and this token for a little while was trading sub like 35, which doesn't make much sense. That the net asset value is below the circulating supply. Of course, the biggest fear here is the supply overhang, but Cards looks great. They're on track to do $100 million, roughly $100 million annualized right now. So just, again, that's a 1-to-3 price to earnings on the fully diluted value. The caveat here, the hang up here is, do we get the Clarity Act? How can we make the token really represent meaningful upside in the business? Now, Base Builder came out today and said very clearly, we want cards token holders to have upside on the business. He said that explicitly. It can't be misconstrued here. But the holdup seems to be clarity. So I guess in the meantime, you just have to kind of take everyone at face value for it, which we know in crypto is not something you always want to do. But, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But I think it's bullish. On that note, also, we kind of covered earlier V4, right? We talked V4 hooks. Bouncing very nicely. Programmable had a nice little dip today. Again, on Ethereum mainnet. This is not Robinhood. On Ethereum mainnet, programmable is what ripped yesterday. Premise being V4 hooks, low code, no code launchpad for people developing V4 hook primitives. Now, of course, this is doing really well. MCG cooked on it. Shout out Chill. Shout out the boy. Shout out the Discord. But this is looking really good. I think V4 hooks are incredibly cool. And so I go back to this for maybe people who are new to have tuned in since starting, but we covered this a bit at the start. V4 hooks are an incredibly cool primitive. And it does allow you to control liquidity in the sense that there's no market maker that needs to be involved. There's no liquidity provider that needs to be involved. Token holders can be all of the above. And so people are going to iterate and make really, really cool things on top of V4 hooks that we haven't seen. And that's what I'm excited for. I first got exposed to this, of course, naturally when Primus came on the show, or Prism, excuse me, when Prism came on the show, showcasing their V4 hooks and how you could have programmatic dividends essentially to every holder, right? You as a holder were a liquidity provider by nature, and you got perpetually fees for the rest of your life. In this case, I think it was paid out in stocks. Was Prism paying out in stocks? It was paying out in stocks. I forget the exact nature of it, but I figured the token's pretty uninvestable. But my big takeaway here is V4 hooks are like really friggin' interesting. Why is no one developing and building on top of this? I think we've started to hit that turning point where a lot of people are like, oh, V4 hooks are cool. I'm starting to hear about this. And we're going to see a lot more developers spin out of it and build cool primitives and technology. So I would say this generally validates that thesis. Now keep your eyes peeled for what comes from being built on top of V4 hooks. Yes. I don't know. There's not too much I want to cover. Cashcat, of course, had its launchpad. It was also featured in yesterday when Vlad showed his wallet on the Q2 holdings. Q2 earnings report, the only asset in there was Cashcat, which is why you see this wick going from 36 million up to 62 million. It's now recovering. Again, I just we've talked about it. If you're going to make a broader bet on the Robinhood chain, there's like a couple baskets you want to fill out. And I'm not a meme guy. We're not meme guys on the MCG show. But if Robinhood's going to stick around, probably the leading meme's going to also stick around. And you see it in things like quarter earnings when they show a screen and Cashcat's the only token. So Cashcat's probably fills that narrative bucket or the meme bucket, right? If you fill the RWA bucket, the agentic finance bucket, what are the buckets you need to fill, right? The launchpad buckets.
Go fill your LP bucket. You can actually LP Cashcat on Meteora using DLMM. I was LPing this, printing absolute fees on it. I did miss this huge pump there, but I was in that last pump right before it, delimbing it.
And this is one of the coolest things that Sunrise is enabling here, right? Remember, Sunrise is a Wormhole Labs product. It came from Wormhole Labs, and Sunrise is enabling the ability for basically everything to be cross-chain. So they've taken Cashcat from Robinhood Chain, created a liquidity pool on Solana. So if you're a native Solana trader, you can have exposure to Cashcat, and of course, you can provide the liquidity that then earns fees from all the people trading it on Solana through Meteora.
Yeah, and what's cool is because the memes on Robinhood, the main volume is actually on another chain. Whereas if that meme was native to Solana, the LP TVL would be way higher. Like it would be massively higher just because everyone knows it's a known meme. They typically have higher LPs, lower fee pools. But because this meme is elsewhere, you still get the volatility throughout price ranges, but it's not all the liquidity is not there.
But you're getting the fees from the liquidity.
Exactly. So you're not competing against like massive amounts of TVL. So I was actually going to talk about this tomorrow, but yeah.
This is the thing. What you guys should be doing is like watching Sunrise for these listings, because Sunrise's whole thing is bringing non-native crypto or Solana assets onto Solana, and so like that's the value right there. Is there's not a lot of competition for providing liquidity to make these freaking things tradable. And so if you're one of the few, you can print on the fees that people are forced to pay you to trade and transact in these tokens. It's very simple. You're You're a small pool with a lot of money coming through it. You're like a little tube. How much money can come through a tube? The more people that provide liquidity, the larger the tube gets. But of course, when it's non-native, that tube's going to be pretty small, and all that money has to flow through you. So you're collecting those fees. So yeah, CashCat's a great example of this.
Yeah, I'm actually not 100% sure. Crypto
Sunrise website. Sunrise website.
On their website? Okay.
Yes. And just follow their Twitter. They're not listing too much too often, right? There's like
But I would love for them to list all like decent Robinhood assets.
Why not?
Like you got it, because the capital flight off Solana was a missed opportunity. They, in my opinion, should have been ready with this, with all these assets as much as possible.
Well, this is what makes Sunrise a bit of an interesting narrative. I mean, there are a lot of, and again, you think about it. How long did it take for me to go from Ethereum to Solana? And how long did it take from Solana traders to bridge off to go to Robinhood? Not everyone's going to want to do that. So there's a lot of native blockchain specific volume that will trade CashCat on Solana over Robinhood because they don't want to go through the process of trading. So like that is a massive market, and Sunrise is really tapping into it in like a beautiful way. It's they're like the only player in the game, and it's just so obvious.
No on this Daddy Duster. It's what Sunrise tokens are support. I don't know if they have any Binance.
I mean, essentially they could, right? In theory, they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, CashCat. So this is CashCat. So let's fill these buckets out. And I don't think I have all my buckets full. And maybe I'm still deciding, and maybe I'm looking out to fill these buckets. But like my meme bucket, which is maybe 1 of 5 on Robinhood that I want to fill, like it goes CashCat. Just bid the leader. Don't mid curve it. I'm not a meme guy. If you're into memes, if you want to have some exposure to memes or generally like the Robinhood chain and attention, okay, it's CashCat. Like very clearly, that's the one. We don't have to mid curve it. If you want exposure to launch pads, right? Is Pawns going to be that answer? Maybe your bucket number 2 is a mixture. Maybe it's Pawns. Maybe it's also CashCat fits in that bucket since they did just launch their launch pad, I guess, right? But who's going to get the volume from the launches? Right now it is Pawns. Right now that Pawns is that bet. It's at 28 million. Okay, so that's bucket number 2. What else? RWA, right? Well, we know Robinhood is deeply committed to making RWA work. Okay, well, does Index, right? Is Index going to lead that race? Is it going to be something else? Like these are just the questions you have to ask yourself. I'm not answering them necessarily. I'm just kind of filling that in. The agentic finance. We had Vex on the show earlier. Robinhood's clearly focused on agentic finance, right alongside RWAs there. Less or so, but they still are. Who's filling that agentic finance bucket? Right? There are all these little plugins when there's a new chain that you have to account for, and that's what we look for here. But with that said, also like there is Derp, I think. Derp is the first launch on the Stockbrokers Launchpad, which Stockbrokers is doing incredible, by the way. Covered on MCG, you're looking pretty if you bought in there. But Derp was the first launch there, and I believe they are using some sort of special V4 hooks here. It's a bit of a deep dive. We're gonna break it down. We have them coming on next week. I'm not sure if they booked quite yet, but it'll be cool. Let's see Stockbrokers. Man, Stockbrokers has just gone crazy. Stockbroker, excuse me. No S. Yeah, I mean, this chart is insane.
Wow.
Congratulations if you bought in from our call, because, I mean,
wow.
I don't know if we're around here.
Yeah.
$25 million market cap. Again, what's interesting about Stockbroker is there's not one specific product. It's kind of the leading NFT right now, but they're looking for a suite of tools. Can we be the AMM for Robinhood? Can we be the Launchpad for Robinhood? Again, goes back to those buckets. What are the extremely profitable buckets on every chain that need to be tapped into that are not on Robinhood because Robinhood's so new? Now, there might be some on EVM that can port over and also provide services on Robinhood, which is where I think the biggest competition lies for stockbrokers. But can stockbrokers plug into, okay, this is a new chain. They need all these things to function. Can we build out all of these for them? And like, if one of them takes off, we're extremely profitable. And so they're trying to do that. So you have to pay attention. This is a wait and watch situation, I think, in part here. But they're doing the Launchpad, doing the market maker. Maybe they do lending and borrowing, I think is something they mentioned. Yeah. Well, Launchpad is definitely one of those buckets. Yeah. You definitely want the Launchpad. I mean, if you get the Launchpad that's going to be native to Robinhood ecosystem for, again, we see the first mover typically sticks historically. If that's Pawns, 28 million is an absolute steal, right? Because just think about, compare Robinhood to Solana for a second here. If Pawns is the Launchpad of choice for Robinhood, and we do know there's also a value accrual to the token here. It's sitting at 28 million. That should be valued again closer to 3, 4, 500 million if it is the launch pad that's going to stick for Robinhood. If all of those launches are, if the pump fund equivalent, you could say. Honestly, probably higher. I'm trying to be conservative with that. But again, that's a big if, right? So Launchpad is definitely one of those buckets. What else, guys? What else? Yeah, but this is cool. Again, guys, I just go back to Ethereum. Oh, look, and it looks like Backpack actually is just down quite a bit today. So here's the thing about the Backpack trade. And you guys know I was bullish on Backpack quite a bit when they were, getting into this whole equity space and kind of being that broker and allowing the licenses to be used by Sunrise to facilitate some of this stuff. Still bullish on that in general. Transparency around like value that Backpack's getting is unclear. Now, again, this Backpack represents direct equity in the company. When they IPO, 25% of their equity is going towards stake token holders, which I think is a very interesting thing. They're the first to do that. But this is dipping into a zone that becomes interesting. Again, just Solana doesn't have quite the attention it used to. So naturally, their ecosystem tokens are going to be on dips, potentially an opportunity. I think broadly watch for Solana kind of getting that attention flowing back to it. Jupiter's in that boat as well. JTO's in that boat as well. I said I want JTO lower. Their perp dex is coming out. If their volumes are crazy, you might have an opportunity here. I think 100% of volume fees, 100% of fees are going towards buybacks here, which is a really interesting play. Again, Uniswap up 10%, clearly outperforming. Let me see if we can get some numbers on Uniswap here. And I think I'll actually go through Twitter for this because I saw some people tweeting about it. But let's just search Uni. And it blows my mind. Most people don't know Uniswap has had a freaking fee switch on for a long time now. Like, for a long time. Let's see. And there's Ansem, of course, tweeting about it. I want to see revenues. People underestimate how horrible the uni. Oh, here it is. How horrible the unit fee switch is for LPs. Blah, blah. Where can I see the numbers? I could go right now on like DeFi Llama or Blockworks and check, but I don't really feel so inclined. Okay, well, maybe I can't get it from a quick scroll on Twitter. That's all good. Oh, here. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Here's their volumes. This is daily metrics. Yeah, so they're doing about, they're doing between $400 to $800 million, and they've done that now. They've kept that up consistently for the last 3 weeks, right? What that equates into revenue, I don't have those figures right with me, but again, numbers are really, really high. 20K in daily revenue is surely enough to sustain Uni's market cap of no. They're not doing 20K. They're doing much more. I don't know. Uni's one to watch. Largely this pump here is due to the V4 hooks and the attention Uniswap's getting. But I don't know. Watch it, guys. Josh, anything you want to cover today? Okay.
No, I'm good. Go.
Y'all still tracking Clued. Tons of util on Sol. Is very tempting at these ranges. Squire, Clued, etc. Yeah, Duster, here's how I'll say it. Tracking all of them, sidelined on all of them. And the reason being is holding anything right now on Solana or in general has just been a terrible choice. So as much as we like anything, we have to play the game that is being played here, and that is a rotation game. They typically do well for a week or two, and then they dump. That doesn't mean they're bad products. That means you can take advantage of it, right? So buying low, selling high, it's easier said than done. But you could have done that for all the ace round participants or everything mentioned on this list. Where you lose is when you held it for more than 3-4 weeks. Is when you bought into the vision of long-term sustainability. This is going to keep going up. And frankly, that's what's been difficult for me this cycle. I am a holder through and through. I am a develop a strong thesis and hold this thing through fruition, see the thesis come through. That's just not the market we're playing in. We have to be real with ourselves there. So I think, yeah, watch all of these, invest in them when we start seeing the tide shift on Solana to that holding culture, which will come. And it has been there. And we've seen projects that were way worse. Think back to the AI days, go to hundreds of millions of dollars, and in a relatively short period of time, and sustain for a good bit of time. It will come. We just need something to break that ceiling or for that momentum to shift.
This
Still
is
holding, brother.
yeah.
And that's the issue, man. That's the
Oh
issue.
my
Paragon
goodness.
had some good
Hey,
opportunities.
look, P0, Paragon, P0.
Well, let's talk P0, Doc. Yeah. So honestly, we are the best people to give this floor here. So here's the thing: we had P0 on weeks ago.
Actually, first off, we had them on like 8 months ago.
8 months ago. But realistically, when it started popping off, we had them on earlier, and that episode did very well. Right? They came out with a bunch of claims, bunch of numbers. Traction was great. You could see it represented in their open router. Like you could see, they were the number one on open router. So naturally, from that conversation, and of course, we have a lot of influential people watching MCG, and we're good friends with the Solana team and other teams. We had a couple people reach out to us, ask us, yo, could you put us in touch with Corey from P0? Like, I want to, we'd love to support him, work with him if we can. And I'm like, hell yeah, like, why not? This is great. And so I great episode, Corey. Here's the full segment, whatever. I'm like, love to connect you with these people because they're seeing what you're doing. One of those teams being, of course, the Solana Foundation team. He was really busy. So he didn't even respond to those messages I sent for like a couple weeks. So I give the credit to the guy. He's either really busy or he's just not looking on Telegram. And so when we had our recent conversation, I bumped him. I said, hey, Solana would love to talk to you. I got this chat open from a couple weeks ago. You should join it. Just say what's up. Like it's great to have the Solana team in your freaking corner. Let's just say that. Love them or hate them. This is freaking business. It's great to have them in your corner. Don't shit on them as soon as they get in a chat with you. And like, actually now you have an opportunity to work with them. Well, Solana Foundation team asks, could you tell me more about P0? And Corey crashes out, goes completely off the rails. Our conversations with Corey were fun. It was funny. He's smoking, drinking. We're talking. P0, he's putting up all these numbers that sound really good, great. But he crashes out on the Solana team for absolutely no reason. And I'm sorry if Corey finds that offensive or whatever, but like the truth is they wanted to know more. If he was busy, he could have just ignored it, given it off to the intern. Hey, intern, explain all this stuff, or just not responded. Rather, he crashes out on Solana Foundation for being curious and then puts it on Twitter. So there's two things that you do at this point. Okay, you can crash out in private. What you don't want to do is take that private crash out, right? This is how men do business. We do business in private. We get it done. We handle our business. You don't take that private conversation and plaster it everywhere. This is where he went wrong. So again, I'm a strategic thinker. Josh and I, businessmen, we have a business. We think strategically. Number one, what is the strategic benefit of crashing out on Solana? Okay, there probably is none. There's none. What's the strategic benefit of crashing out on Solana, making a fool of yourself, and posting it all over Twitter? Negative benefit. The benefit is the non-benefit is your token gets nuked to zero because it looks like you can't control your emotions. As a founder, as an investor, that's one of the biggest red flags. Assume all his numbers are accurate and true, which we want to. If you cannot have a founder that can steward his temper, how can he steward your money and a business well? It's a scary thing to be a part of. And so I don't blame anyone that sold their tokens. I don't. You want to have confidence that the person that is stewarding the business that you're invested in is going to also like deliver that to fruition and be even keeled. So I like Corey. I like the Solana team. I think Solana does a lot to support our ecosystem. You just have to you can't just be like, a lot of people are asking for support from Solana and they have no product market fit, no traction. The 20th iteration of the product that everyone's doing, it's like, of course, Solana's not going to support you. They can't. Okay. Something like P0, if they could verify those numbers, that's something Solana can support. And damn it, they will. Look at Collector Crypt, right? They support the real players. And so I just, again, man, I like Corey. I just don't understand why we had to do this. There's zero benefit. There was zero reason to do it. it's not like it even like showed him as a hero that's standing up against the tyranny of Solana, and like there was zero benefit of this, zero strategic reason to do it. And so it's unfortunate, and the tokens obviously suffered tremendously from it. I'll pull up that chart.
From a technical standpoint, the open router numbers can be like, I don't want to say game, but it can be non-economic activity, supposedly.
And we know some of that is, right? We know a lot of the top of funnel, which is a great business strategy. Top of funnel, get everyone in for free, convert them to paying customers. Hey, that's cool.
I'm about it.
And I think this is where people were like, okay, well, we're really excited for the investors relation report you might be doing with Bedrock if that goes through, which I would say don't hang your hat on that, guys, at this point. Or like, we're really excited for you to do those reports. Like, just some way we can validate these numbers, because your business is spitting out tens of millions of dollars a year, annualized returns, run rate. We'd love to see that. And so like, that's where the disconnect was. And I think Solana wanted to verify some of those numbers, rightfully so. Again, if you're in crypto, you've been burnt by this. So this is my disclaimer at the end. I'm like, hey, these numbers sound great. I want to take them at face value, but we have to verify. And I think, I think Solana wanted to verify. And look, I get it, you're busy, but he could have just ignored it. So that was the issue here. And again, it sucks to see. It really does suck to see. Tokens at 660K. Million in volume, though. Finn is up. Thanks for the fees, bro. Finn's up. Honestly, P0 is up. They made a lot of fees off this.
Yeah, not a good look, guys. Anyways, we don't need to hang up on the point. Is there any comeback from this? I don't think so. I think once your reputation is cooked, it's cooked.
I think there's a comeback from it. I think the crash out, way out of line. Corey, left field, bro. I don't know what we're doing here. But I do think there is a comeback, and that comeback is show us the numbers. All right. Cool, we get it. You have your differences with Solana. Crypto's been annoying. Whatever you want to feel like. But show us the numbers.
You don't like the BD approach. We get it. Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know what hit a nerve with him. Maybe he was drunk. I think that was part of it. I think he was drunk. But again, not an excuse. I mean, not an excuse, bro.
Yeah. Look, I loved seeing a young founder do stuff, pivot. He was in the game for a while. Like, look at this chart. Yeah. Most of that chart is flatlined. You know, he didn't give up on whoever his holders were. If you scroll to the left, this was flatlined for a hot minute,
which is incredible. This sadly, is why the story was so nice.
And I owned this like 100K too, which kills me. So, anyways, good. Yeah, it's rough. But I found him off a DM. He DM'd our account, found him off a DM, started doing due diligence. We put him in touch with a bunch of people. Again, we're here to help founders, but yeah, if it's off chain, fine. Just explain how it's off chain, right? Like, yeah. Anyways, that's where we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Corey is maybe one day welcome back on the show, but he needs to, he needs to reconcile some things and work through some stuff before that ever happens again.
Oh. But yeah. So that's the drama there. I mean, of course, like, ultimately, we're just eating the popcorn, sitting back.
Hey, what I've learned from the what's that guy that went to the Leering Center? What was his name? Nick Shirley. One thing I've learned from that is the people that yell the loudest is often where the bad things are happening. So I don't know if that's a general rule or a fact of life, but it was sure in that scenario.
Best of luck to him.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're doing great from what he's saying. Yeah. So, all right, guys, I'm not sure anything else you want to talk about. I'd probably jump here.
Yeah, we're done. Bags V4 hooks next week. Love that, man. For Bags.
I'm sure.
Bet on founders. Yeah. This is the thing, you bet on founders. Like the fact that P0 is ahead of Squire, and I guess it's that kind of vamped Squire maybe a little bit, but like if you're a big integration player or an institution? Are you going to bet on a guy who's ran up a $900 million company already in Chris, or are you going to bet on, a kid? Now, one thing I will say about Corey, and I give him credit here, he's in China. He's in Asia where he needs to be. If
He
I think
said all the right things, bro.
Yeah, he said all the right things, but I actually think there's that's friction. Not every founder is going to go to China and go work on deals in,
Moat.
Shenzhen or whatever. That's a moat for North American operators for sure. So, anyways,
I think P0's largely success driven was from like just their incredible numbers on Open Router. Yeah.
And I'm not a developer, so I don't know how easily that can be gamed or not. So you guys told me, but
right. All right, boys. It's been good. Leave you with this. Watch Ethereum. Can't hurt to get a little bag. Ethereum's been beat down. We've pretty much not been bullish on Ethereum for a long time, but it can't hurt to get a bag right now, I don't think. Watch the leaders and watch V4 hooks. Because I think, and it might not manifest today or tomorrow, but I think in a couple of weeks, with the developers who have caught on now because of this run up, we'll see some really cool stuff spun out of it. And you're one of the few people that knows what V4 hooks are today. Hopefully, if you're watching an MCG, you're one of the few people that knew about V4 hooks before we saw programmable run, because I can tell you it would have been a hell of a lot harder to bid programmable if you had no idea what V4 hooks are and had to learn it the day it was ripping. But rather, if you had been listening to MCG and knew what V4 hooks were, knew why that was cool, I think we explicitly were like, wow, that's a pretty cool thing. It would have been much easier to invest in that narrative. So guys, we appreciate you. As always, make sure you're following MCG, and I'll just, I guess, one last time kind of push us back to this. Make sure you're following MCG live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Hopefully we're giving a lot of signal. We think it tends to be the best in the market, but who knows? So definitely make sure you give us a follow. Keep track of what we're posting. If you're active, if you're helping contribute, we got a Discord invite for you. Otherwise, it is gated for now. And yeah, hard at work building out products, hard at work developing relationships, guys. It's a grind, but we do it and we appreciate it. And you guys really make it happen. We, of course, thank our sponsors, Meteora, EZA, and soon a new one here in August, you'll see. So we thank all you guys. Peace.
Anything to add to this announcement? Is this the hardware announcement? Nothing to add at this current moment, Crypto Jones, but hopefully some stuff that is it's up a little bit there. You just scroll past it.
Yeah, I mean, look, this stuff takes a lot of time. We're not vibe coding slop. We're building hardware systems out to aggregate, with nodes on blockchains to aggregate a lot of data. It takes time, it costs money. The piping is what takes long, and then we can kind of spin a lot up from it. So
I can't talk about this anymore until we're a little further along.
Yeah.
So, but
it takes time.
Cool. It is cool, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you guys as well. So,
yes, bro. Yes. Again, yeah. Takes time. We know better than anyone what giving deadlines looks like and how bad that can bite you in the ass. So I know Josh gave a deadline. Josh likes to give deadlines. Me, I'm not giving any fucking deadlines. I'll tell you that much.
Are you the guy pulling out the Tesla T4 NVIDIA cards out of the mail and building it?
Nope. Oh, this was shipped to you?
No, it's not shipped to us, but we very close with the person building this, but no.
Yeah.
CG token in the talks.
Man, yeah, I wish I don't know what we can say.
No token. No token.
The guys building this are awesome. They're amazing. They've been amazing to work with. They're beasts.
No token, but there'll be developments of MCG in the future. That's all I'll say. No token.
That's all I'll say. Friday, Josh, we have one Friday call with HBool, and that's you and Chill, and that'll actually be a really interesting conversation. Now, I don't know what the ticker is or token is, but it is the story of the Ansem token, I guess, being handed off to Ansem, the lore there. Really cool. And I think Josh is also doing a crash course DLMM deep dive.
Low key, I was supposed to build out a DLM intro class, but I've just been so busy this week with just operational stuff that is taking me by off guard. So I haven't had a chance to really build that out.
Yeah, Josh has been grinding, man. Contracts, pitch decks, sales decks.
It's but all good stuff. All good stuff.
All right, y'all boys. As always, you're the best. Keep it up. Peace.